Ready when you are, Bill. A few seconds.
Crank this show up and get it on the road. And so a call to order the DeKalb County Commissioners. The date is January 9th, 2023. Good morning, Dottie.
Good morning. Wow, it seems like forever since.
Before Dottie starts, I think you guys have to do your reorganization.
Yes, we do.
And then Dottie.
Just hoping to
Reorganize.
skip that.
Sorry.
Do we get to play musical chairs
follow
and
them.
reorganize?
Dottie, you want it? You can.
No, thank you. No, thank you. I have enough on my plate.
Oh, come on. All right. We have to nominate a president for 2023. So,
Point of order, that elections are normally handled by the attorney.
right,
All right, well, is there any, let's open nominations up for president of the county commission? Nomination.
Nominate Bill Hartman, serve as president.
Okay. Any discussion? Is there a question, but?
Good question. None here?
First and a second. Any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll close the nominations.
You can just ask, yeah.
All those in favor of having Bill Hartman be president?
Aye.
All right. All those against, same sign?
aye.
Okay. The Bill is elected 2-1 against his own vote.
Okay.
He is elected president.
Okay.
Are there any other officers besides president, or is that it?
This will be a fun year.
Okay.
So,
Oh,
well, are there any other officers? I guess there wouldn't be treasurer, vice president, anything like that.
they're both,
They're both
like,
vice presidents.
yeah.
They're both vice
Automatically.
president, attorney.
Both can take over if.
By default.
Yeah.
Attorney's been hired. I guess we don't have to appoint him.
No,
Right.
we're good there.
We're good there. Okay, now Dottie.
Well, hello, Mr. President. Reluctant? Well,
Old habits are hard to change, you know. Every morning it's high. What you got, Dottie?
that's
And
right.
so-
What I got. Well, what I got right off the bat is our turnover rate for 2022. And I want to introduce you to this report. And it is, there's on the first page, it's basically a chart monthly, and then what our average number of employees who were employed. Now, that's not, I have to tell you, it's everyone. It's board members, it's part-timers, it's full-timers. So it's everybody who is classified as an employee. And that would be including the elected officials.
Are those all W-2 then? Everyone that received the
Right,
W-2?
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So then you have the percentages, and so our annual turnover rate, then at the bottom. On the second page, it's more of a, a column graph. Thought you guys might like to, visually see it. And then on the last page, once again, a bit of a, instead of monthly, quarterly, what we had. And just to give you some idea, community corrections had the most individuals who were resigned or were terminated at 22. The Sheriff's Department at 18. Sunny Meadows had 5. Surveyor's Office ended up with 3. Central with 3. Prosecutor's Office 3. And with those, I have to include, the elected officials who were resigning. So it's true. It's a true picture of the comings and the goings, the hellos and the farewells that we had in all of the departments. So also, this information was passed on to insurance trustees for, their information. They always ask, what's the turnover rate when it comes to our insurances?
The question I have, you said board members are included in that.
Yes.
Board members who not carry insurance.
No,
why would it be
this has
included?
nothing to do with insurance. They're paid. People who are paid as employees.
But there again, a lot of those are replaced by reappointment or no appointment. So they're
I
not leaving.
only count the people who get
The two number would be
paid.
the employees that have quit on their own or fired.
I would have to dig even deeper for, because that would mean I would have to actually go into the, I have a lot of them stored up here, and you can tell, when I run a report, who was a board member, who wasn't, and, but then to try to figure out, okay, were they involuntary or voluntary terminations? So, yeah. So that would be a little bit more of a drill down. But that overall, and we didn't really have that many, we really don't have that many board members that were coming and goings last year. So, yeah, but those are the top ones. If we had another department, it was a onesie twosie. Yep. So, yeah. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay, all righty. I am currently working on making sure that we have everyone counted for the years of service certificates that you started last year, working on making sure that we have all the individuals and making sure that the number of years that we have in our system and, that I have a report for is correct. So payroll is double checking me on that before I get started doing any printing on those certificates. We talked about this, I don't know, a couple months ago, doing those certificates again. So is that still something we want to do?
Given the fact that they are going to get longevity pay, I'm not sure. What do you guys think?
I think we should go ahead and continue that. It's not much of an effort, and we did indicate last year that we were going to continue with that. So I think it's a good gesture.
Have we asked the department heads if they wanted to continue? I mean,
There were some questions at the last.
or should be
at the last
changed up, I
department
wonder.
head meeting as to why we hadn't continued it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or more correctly,
Was that just the most recent one?
Yes, the one we had last week.
Yeah. And there was questions why we had stopped it?
Yeah, and I had even had an
or like,
email.
we thought this was part of the program.
Right,
What's
yep,
going
keep
on?
going, yeah. And because there hadn't been any sort of luncheon, meetings, and so they were, there had been questions about that. So are we going to continue with recognizing our people who have hit certain milestones?
It doesn't matter to me either way. If the department heads thinks it's good, I'm fine with it. I don't want to force it on them if they don't, though, so whatever they think.
I'll relent. I'm good with it.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
You are welcome. All right. On hiring, right now we have a need for a full-time RN in the health department. That recruiting is not going very well. So, the competition that we have, I am trying to I geared the recruiting posting toward, family-friendly hours, our holidays, the PTO, as opposed to the wages. Because when we're dealing with the wages that Parkview has to offer, yeah, I can't come close.
Have we explored the idea of part-time, 2 part-times? In other words, maybe you could pull in retired nurses to do,
I haven't broached that subject with Cheryl this go-round. The last time we had an opening for a part-time person, we had the same issue. But it's a different time frame, so I can certainly ask Cheryl if that's something that she would entertain.
may have to. We may have to.
So I will talk to her about that.
Okay.
Homeland Security, as you know, the deputy director gave his resignation, and I think actually it's probably going to be a win-win-win because he's now going to be over there in Noble County, and he and Jason have a great working relationship, so I think that's going to foster even more working relationship among counties. But we did need to recruit for that position, so we had a posting out, and nothing to report yet on that. That just, we just started recruiting that last week. Had a couple good resumes come through. So we'll see what happens, yeah. Sheriff's Department currently has merit deputies, more lateral moves. They have postings out for that, and we have our continual confinement officer postings. So we'll see what those bring in for them. Community Corrections still has a part-time person, facilitator out at Change. That was maybe put on the back burner for a while over the holidays, but we'll see how the activity kicks back up. The Circuit Court has they just had a resignation, the bailiff, and so the judge has already done some interviewing, and I believe he has selected someone. So we'll see how quickly that person will come on board. The Superior 2, one of their individuals retired at the end of the year. We have been recruiting. He did a little restructuring, that judge, and so we are recruiting for an assistant court reporter. He's been interviewing, so we'll see where that one lands also. And of course, the surveyor's office with the caucus coming up this week. We'll see who fills the position temporarily of the surveyor and how the structure of the surveyor's office will go. So I'm trying to stay on top of that one too.
How many candidates have filed for that? Do we know?
I think just one. Yeah, yep. And believe me, there were plenty of recruiting discussions among individuals, and most were to the no thanks.
Yeah.
So
We knew that was going to be tough.
yes, yeah, that's a tough position. So yeah, and then just had a really great conversation with Angela Brown from Sunny Meadows last week. She's been in place now a few weeks, and baptism by fire, first of all, it was the Christmas week, and you had all those extra things going on out there at Sunny Meadows, and then she had 3 employees who had to be off due to COVID at different times. Like I said, baptism by fire. She said she learned their jobs, so maybe overall it was, it was good, and she was, she was working quite a few hours in a row, trying to catch a nap, but had the part-time weekend person come in, try to cover some things. Staffing out there, they're pretty slim. you have, on the, nighttime, you've got one person, there's the weekend person, they're not overly staffed. So it was, she just had to dig right in. But we had a great meeting about, once again, the comings and goings, or the cradle to grave sort of thing, as I call it, with hiring and terminating and everything in between, as you're keeping your employees and what you're doing. So had a really good conversation about that. I know that there'll be more questions that will be, she'll have, but I'm trying to really, keep my hands out there so that, kind of an extension of you guys, so that we don't drop any balls and we keep that, keep that place going. So we do have, I made a formal email announcement to all of our employees after we had the department heads meeting last week regarding longevity pay. And the department heads, I thought it went really well. They understood how it all would work. And so we sent out an email to employees. So far, I've only had really one email with 2 thumbs up. Haven't heard, bad or good any other way. So we'll see what happens with that. The question had been brought up about prorating if somebody leaves in the middle of the year, things like that. And so we had to discuss that wasn't going to happen. So anyway, that, just in case you get any questions on that, that's out there to all of our employees now. Safety meeting. We have a safety committee meeting coming up on January the 20th from 8:30 to 9:30 in the White Room in the annex. And so have an agenda that I already sent out to the group. Want to talk about CPR, want to talk about what we want the safety committee to look like, what we want them to do, what we need them to review, and then in addition to that, we want to take a look at the system that a lot of our buildings departments have with Cintas, with the current first aid kit box, and take a look at AEDs. And AEDs, probably even more important now that that Buffalo Bills player and the cardiac arrest and all of that. What would happen if, do all of our employees know where the closest AED is? Do you know how to do the CPR? Things like that. So anyway, so that's happening on the 20th. And whomever might be available, it'd be lovely to have you there. So that's, like I said, we've had a lot of comings and goings in HR with the employees who are retiring or who were leaving at the end of their term, and getting all the information out to them as they transition into whatever is next for them. And then all these new ones coming on board, different things, whether or not they had currently been an employee, but they're moving into a different position, or if they're totally new, and all of that. And then eventually, if they're full-time or elected officials, getting the information on their benefits. So it's we've been keeping pretty busy, in addition to trying to transfer files. We have files that we need to look at from, several years ago, that long-term storage stuff that we're trying to do. And actually, our 2017 files, Lindsay has pretty much gotten all of their information in their employee files scanned into LAO. so that when the time comes, that later on, some, future employer calls and says, hey, do you have verification of employment, blah, blah, blah. We don't have to run down to the basement and try to rifle through an old box. It'll actually be in Lao, at least for a while. So, and then whatever we end up doing with the auditor's office on some sort of long-range retention project that I know it's on.
I'm working on it.
I know. It's one of the many things on that to-do list, so, yeah. But to try to make it a little bit easier for us, when we do get those requests from, an employer, we had a difficult one from a police department in another state asking for information on an employee who had resigned basically when I came on board, 2016. So it's like, oh, well, that box is down in the basement, and what do we have squirreled away in Lao? Not that much. We didn't do that. So anyway, that will really speed things up. So what else do you guys have for me?
Anything, anyone? Too easy.
I know. Wow. Yeah. And 10 minutes early.
Yeah, yes, 10 minutes early. I guess that's it, Dottie. I
Okay.
have nothing. Susan, anything for Dottie?
Nope. Good.
Nothing?
Right.
We've
Okay.
cut loose.
All right.
Go get to work now.
Yeah. Well, and I'll see you later.
Thanks, Dottie.
Thank you. Have a good day. Okay, we've got a few minutes.
I'll move to approve payroll then.
Second.
Motion to, and a second to approve payroll. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Claims. Get a chance to look at the claims. We had a big list. Any questions?
$70,000 worth.
A lot of money.
Any questions on the claims?
None here.
I've got just one
Okay.
on page 16. CARES testing grant, 8902,
How much was it?
50,000. I assume that's a grant come in.
Yeah, so when the health department, they had a contract with Vantage something to do the testing site when they would do testing and then give vaccinations. And it's just a long drawn out process. So we wait for the money to come in and then she can pay them. And yeah, we've just been waiting for a very long time.
And the network, right, the next one down, the Motorola Solutions.
ARPA money, that was the about 88,000.
Yeah, 89.
89.
80, I'm sorry, 86,272.
Okay, that is the,
That the fire departments?
no,
Oh,
it's,
that was the upgrade on,
it's one of the upgrades that was approved for IT to use the ARPA monies on. I can't remember what it was.
all right,
I think so.
Yeah, that was the Spillman
Yes, the
upgrade.
Spillman
was
upgrade,
it,
yes,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
was what I was,
I remember that. We put that out of the ARPA funds.
yes.
and the very next one down, 9115 County Road 56, to Kenneth Howard, that is the payoff for the right-of-way for County Road 56. I see that's went through and been paid.
For the road widening at that
The
area.
widening,
Okay.
right, just an
Yeah.
FYI on that.
How much was that again?
50, oh, I'm sorry, 67,188.84.
And the state gives us some money for that, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben will turn it in and then we'll.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a 80-20 match
Okay.
at some point. Okay, just checking. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, approve claims. Any additional comments, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries. Minutes.
Was just a typo. that I was discussing towards the end.
Okay,
Quite a few minutes here.
just a few.
Yeah.
It took
And
me
I
a
know
hot
that
second.
that was a difficult task considering the speed of some of the conversation. I thought it was, did a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have no comments on it. Anybody else?
Was it this section when we were talking, when you were talking about the coal and natural gas, or the one?
Yeah, I think as a matter of fact, it used of, the word of instead of the, I think. Remember right?
Oh, I think it's supposed to be us.
Yes,
We have enough coal, natural gas to power us for
us, yes.
us instead of of.
Yes, other than
Okay.
that, everything was good.
Okay.
Move to approve minutes as amended.
Second.
A motion second. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries. Travel.
Motion, I'll make the motion to approve.
And I'll second.
Motion to approve travel, and a second. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, approval and signatures for 2023 public official bonds.
All right. These are all for the elected officials that you guys approve, and then there's signatures at the bottom for all three of you. On every single one,
Every single one.
every single one.
Grief.
Need a motion? I assume.
Yes, please.
I will move that we approve and sign all of the 2023 public official bonds.
Second.
Thank you.
A motion and a second. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Sign away, guys.
Do we have any references on this Susan Sleeper person?
No, she's,
Yeah, I think we had to pay 4 times the bond on that one.
odd bond.
Sorry.
Bud.
Here's some claims if you want to sign those.
Yeah, I thought I missed a couple there.
Sideways, so you see some.
You got two on the top there. How many sheets of paper can you come up with today?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna have more, but I thought while you're on a roll, I'll let you just sign.
Need a stamp
That's what I was just thinking.
and a stipend.
Would you like one?
A stipend? Yes, give me a stipend.
Get you a start.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. At this time, we will recess the Commissioners' meeting and open the public hearing concerning the recommendation to award a public-private agreement for the construction, financing, operation, and transfer of a new Public Works campus project for DeKalb County Highway. So we are open, ready for discussion. Public or commissioners? Anybody have anything to say about the highway project? In short, it's, I was going to say in short, it's called a BOT, B-O-T, the,
Build, operate, transfer.
right.
My only concern is seeing the word financing included in that string of descriptions, because we can't tie the council to any kind of financing yet. They don't meet until tomorrow to even consider this, and so I'm not sure what we can and can't do with this particular resolution at this stage of the game.
I think we can award something pending council
Council
approval, right?
approval.
Yeah, that's about all we can
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah,
Pending the financing approval is one way that you had stated it, Mike.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the only way we can really approach it.
So we have our expert here, maybe he can guide us. You're here for the highway discussion, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of Tyler Wolf with FCI Construction, in terms of approval, my understanding was this resolution was just to move forward for council approval. So we weren't approving the project, we were approving it to move forward for approval from the council. So that's kind of, I think, the next step. From Greg's understanding, it would take about 25 to 30 days for the financing package to get put together from your fiduciary representative to present to the council. Are you thinking they'll approve tomorrow?
No,
Okay, so we'd still look for that in the meantime for an early February council meeting for approval of the project?
yeah, so that'd be a second Tuesday in February. Yeah,
Naturally.
Yeah, so flowers and candy, anything.
Well, we will see what we can talk with the
and
brands.
there may be a second proposal for them to look at.
Okay,
Yeah, or I'm sorry, there may be a second one for Jeff Peters to look at to make his presentation to council, so.
okay, yep. So that's,
But I
that
would
was,
anticipate the February meeting.
okay, that was kind of our understanding as well. This was more for public response in that, so,
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're not somehow obligating
Yep.
the council to do something that
Right.
they haven't decided to do yet.
yep, nope, that was our understanding as well, that this was kind of a preemptive.
I assume eventually there'll be a package of a contract or contracts that would be proposed on this once it's all been approved and financing approved, or?
Correct, that would come from Greg Martz with GM Development, would be, your contract would be with him, ours would be with him as well. So you would
Okay.
not see a contract from us, but you would see a BOT contract from Greg.
Okay.
Mhm.
Right.
And I
Well,
think
whenever that
that's-
comes in, I'll review it for you gentlemen. So,
Yeah, and I think that'll be part of the discussion with Jeff as well, what those financing terms and all that is, will come together for that contract.
okay.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else?
And again, I think it's important to understand that we're not technically the owner of the facility. The contract holder would be.
Right.
And we are leasing it from them until such time that we make a payoff.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
just for the public to understand, or that we purchased the building from them is what, not a payoff, but the guarantee, or the purchase price. that we would
Depending
pay them.
on what Jeff Peters' recommendation is.
Right,
You know, there's been some discussion on bonding, which I'm not in favor of, but,
right.
you know, there's some options there that are going to get whittled down, I'm sure.
The way-
But the traditional bot, you're correct.
Yeah.
It would be a lease purchase
Yeah.
agreement.
The way I understand it, if you don't bond it, it doesn't affect our
Right.
credit for the future on bonds. Leaves
Yeah,
us
it
with a lot
doesn't
more open credit.
Raise our bond
bond-wise.
capacity.
Our bond capacity, correct.
Untouched, yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right. So what's the next step then for us right now? What do we need to do to give to council today?
Is
I-
that what this memorandum of recommendation is?
Have you read that over?
Yes, well, I believe so. I looked over the bot. So this is, I believe, the recommendation, let's see, recommendation of the development. I believe this is what came out of the committee
Okay,
that reviewed the different possible options. And so, yes, it's the RFPQ committee that you guys had to review the options, and they went through the options for the BOT and decided on GM Development Companies and FCI Construction. So I think you may want to have a vote on approving this recommendation and recommend it subject to financing to the council, but have something on as an official vote coming out of this hearing.
I was thinking the same thing.
Okay,
actually.
good, good.
Okay. I think that's all
Okay.
we need, Tyler. I will once again, though, call for anyone opposed or in favor of the DeKalb County Highway project. Make sure we don't miss anybody.
Lynn Reinhardt, 4224 County Road 71, Butler, Indiana. And so I don't know, I'm not going to speak either for or against it. I'm sure you all remember that I was at some meetings early on and expressed some reservations with what you were looking at, but that was the decision that's made, so everybody needs to take it and go forward and make the best out of the project for the highway department and DeKalb County residents that way. So I guess the only thing that I'm cautious about is the amount of funds that will be allocated to it. And I don't know for sure if you've got a number on that. But I guess I really would hate to see a large expenditure put out for the highway facilities. And then later this year or sometime in the near future, the council comes to us asking for an increase in the wheel tax on top of it. So I know they're separate things, but everything at some point comes together in the county, and it's all things that have to be supported by the taxpayer. So that's all I have to say. So thank you for your time and your work.
Okay, thank you, Lynn.
thanks, Lynn.
Just a little comment, Lynn, as far as the facility is concerned, it's been long neglected and way overdue for upgrade, and unfortunately, this expense has grown considerably from the first proposed site due to inflation, and the site was more monetarily advantageous to the county taxpayer, the original site. But that was shot down, not by us, but, so it hasn't happened, and then the result is we are delayed 3 to 4 years on this project, and then we ran into the hyperinflation. So here we are, 4 years later, and almost twice as much money involved in getting this facility up and going. It's regrettable. We have shaved close to $1 million off the original estimates, and we did the best we could with what we had. And it wasn't of our making. Just want to make that clear, that we end up where we're at on this cost. So appreciate your comments.
I do know and understand that the highway facility needs to be upgraded. It's been there for a long time and been utilized. I wished you wouldn't have made a comment that had been neglected. That reflects poorly on you your predecessors in that department, and I don't think that that was accurate. I know we understand that it needs maintenance to keep it going, but, and as far as the inflation, that was something that was discussed about at the time. You were already in the inflationary period.
No, we weren't.
Not in
No.
2018 and 19.
We certainly were not. 2019, actually, we were not in an inflation period,
Okay.
not even close.
Well, I guess when I'm looking at it, beginning was in 21, when you were making decisions on purchasing and selling the existing properties. So I'm not aware of what had happened prior to that, I guess. So I would have to plead ignorance on that.
And I will say neglect might not have been the best word to use. It was more of a situation where the facility, nutrition,
Never
it just,
meant to be that in the first place.
yeah, it wasn't that great to begin with. It was old. It just started to fall apart. And partly neglected because the money required to upgrade it, bring it up to today's standard, would have probably been every bit as much as what we're going to spend anyway. So I just wanted to clarify that a bit.
Sure. Okay. And I guess just along with that, I would hope that you can utilize the existing buildings that were there with the funds that you had allocated to buy that property there. I thought that was part of the reasoning, was that it did have existing facilities on it. And I guess I kind of question for sure how much you're actually utilizing that by the time you're renovating those buildings and such versus.
I would have to say 100% utilization of those existing buildings.
I understand you're utilizing the buildings, but are you utilizing the cost that you had in the buildings when you figure what you're spending to renovate them on top of that? So.
I have to kind of agree with that.
Okay, and I will accept that because I know I haven't looked at it close enough to know, so
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure that everybody was thinking about it and using all the information available, so thank you.
Right. Any other comments? Public or commissioners?
We've been very prudent with this project, given the overall circumstances and what we've had to deal with. I think we've done a fine job of putting it together and getting it from questionable situations to where we're at now.
I'm kind of glad you mentioned that, Mike, because what I have here is a folder. If you can see how thick that is, that's 25 or 30 meetings. Do you remember how many meetings we had, Ben? It's in that range. That's all documents and blueprints and you name it on this county highway project. Just it's been well thought through, well discussed, a lot of input, and just want to get it right best we could.
Been, I think, a really good cooperative effort with the team to get where we're at. So,
Okay, I would entertain a motion to.
Wait,
Yep, I got to close this meeting.
I got you.
Okay, I knew that. I even wrote it down. Any other comments? For or for? Or against? Okay. We will close the public hearing and reconvene the commissioners' meeting of January 9th, 2023. And now I will entertain a motion to recommend this, pass it on to the DeKalb County Council.
I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of recommendation to pass this to council contingent upon council approval of the financing package.
Second.
A motion and a second. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries.
Okay, so this memorandum just says submitted by the RFPQ committee. Do you guys want to sign under this or just send it like this? It doesn't have, I don't know.
Send it to them, can't we?
Or maybe you could type a line underneath it
mean,
saying,
you
this
can
is
just-
approved subject to financing, and then sign it, or
Okay.
that might
Yeah, I think that'd be
cover you in
appropriate.
writing. That way.
Yeah.
You want me to type it or, I can't.
Handwriting is okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just put a
I say, I
line.
don't have a typewriter.
Okay, that's fine, yeah. Our last typewriter broke about a week or two ago, so had to borrow one from Tom Smith, who still had
Want all
one.
three to sign or president?
So just leave a little spot underneath that and then
Line.
Yep.
just have everybody
Yep.
sign?
And dated, of course, so,
Yeah, I have the date. The date is.
all right, all right.
Well,
Do you want-
and technically, this would be,
Ben?
yeah, Ben should sign it too, because
Yeah.
technically, this is from the committee, which is the three of us plus Ben.
Right.
There you go.
Can you just share what IRPQ stands for that way?
It's a request for proposal and qualifications.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ben. You did. You're stealthy.
Go.
You want to put that contingency in
Yep.
there? Okay.
Do it right now.
Okey dokey.
Okay. Approval and signatures of the 2023 public, we did that.
We did that.
EDC appointments. We have two, is that right? Two.
No, just one, I think.
Just a second.
Just the
That's the Economic Development Partnership? No, wait a minute.
sheriff.
No,
Okay, so
that's the Economic Development Commission, I'm sorry.
yeah, the Economic Development Commission, Mike Sherrick, I don't know, for some reason his term was like March to March. I was just wanting to see if we could retro it to when you guys appointed all the others so we can just not have them end all different times of the year and just get it on a yearly thing. And then the EMS oversight one, I
Yeah.
just guessing.
So,
So you want to move Mike to,
and, well, yeah, it would be January 1st of '23 to December 31st of '23.
that, I mean,
Well-
there's no reason why we can't, right?
I think his last term was 3 years. So I mean,
Oh,
we
that's
could
right,
leave
it
the
is a
term at 3 years, but
Yeah.
if we could just, it'd be nice
the
if we could
date.
just have it so that at the end of the year, whoever
Makes
needs
sense.
reappointed, we can reappoint.
One way to handle that would be if you just appointed the next person to fill the last person's term. Right, like if somebody steps off the board, is that probably how Mike got started in the middle of the year? Somebody stepped off, moved out of the county or something?
Guessing.
I don't know,
More than likely.
Probably, and then we just never,
restarted it,
change
yeah.
the
Well, that
date,
may-
we
Yeah, because this term here is, his current term is March 2nd of 2020
To March.
to March of 2023.
Okay, so you're not cutting him off before the end of his term, you're just readjusting the start of the next term.
Yeah.
I think that would be okay, I guess, looking at it that way.
Motion?
So I would move that we appoint Mike Shirk to the Economic Development Commission for a term beginning January 1st of 2023 and ending December 31st of 2025.
Second.
Motion is second. Additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose, same. Motion carries. That cleans that up.
Thank you.
And then the other one is appointing Brady to the EMS Oversight Committee to replace Dave Chirp.
Motion?
Uh,
Uh,
I'll even make that a motion.
I will second that one.
A motion is second. Additional comments? All those in-
Is that position contingent upon being the elected sheriff?
I think
He's
so.
just on it automatically. We kind of throw him on there, but yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So has Chirp resigned or been removed because of losing the election? I just wanted
Yes.
to discuss
Yeah.
that, okay.
Yeah, he falls off.
Yeah.
Okay, so long as he fell off, then that's fine. Okay.
And they leave they have them just as open-ended.
Open-ended, yep, for the
not a
election.
set
Sounds
term,
good.
yeah.
That's been going on that way, then I won't.
Yeah, because we don't know when it might end, in 4 years or 8 years for
That's right.
sure. But-
Thanks
That's
for
right.
asking, though.
Right. Okay, got a motion, second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same, motion carries. Okay, 2022 Northeastern Center Annual Report Receipt Acknowledgement. Gentlemen, we'll get that in your emails and have a chance to look at it.
A lot more cases they handle than I thought they did.
I don't know, I don't remember how that compared to last year's. It seemed like it's in the ballpark.
Yeah, I didn't compare it to last year's program, but I found it interesting, the amount of substance abuse patients they have and how low opioids were compared to other drugs. That really surprised me. I don't know if you saw that.
did.
Opioid use was only like 11%, and
Yeah,
alcohol was the top, with
alcohol's
marijuana
still at the
being
top.
second.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, our legal drug is still at the top,
Yeah,
and ironic.
yeah. I guess it's the easiest and socially acceptable drug, so it's just interesting. I thought it was interesting, all the carrying mental health and anxiety, and it was interesting report.
I believe Steve Howell's going to make a presentation of that report to the council. I'm not sure if it's tomorrow or the February meeting, but
Okay.
they'd requested that, and we support them at the tune of $400,000 a year, so I think
I'd like to hear a report.
I think a report is appropriate.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a pretty good chunk. Yeah,
That's mandated, isn't it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that we support that every,
state mandated.
yeah, a certain percent or certain amount?
It's to pick up what Medicare doesn't pick up, basically.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I read what Medicare paid and Medicare, Medicaid and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion to acknowledge receipt of that report.
So moved.
And a second.
A motion and a second. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries. Fiddler contract approval, Recorder's Office. Is Lita, was she going to come up?
That's the one she just talked about
Yeah.
at the 28th, meeting of the 28th.
I had asked her to,
That's right.
I think that was something different.
I thought it was this.
Maybe not. Well, I had asked her to email you guys to see if you guys had any questions because I wasn't sure when we would get to talk about this. I know Andrew had asked her a few questions.
I approve the agreement with her, answers the question. Sounds like it's a company they've had for a long time. My main question, maybe my only question was, well, what happens if it takes an extra day longer or something? And she got that answer, $1,600 for an extra day, which doesn't seem unreasonable. And it's been a good company for a long time. And so I don't have a problem
So
with it. I
you
approve it.
guys all signed, so you'll need to motion to approve. The last meeting, it was part of Fiddler, had to do with Laredo user fees, and so it was part of this, but this is the new one.
I think they're going back through and like adding more information from old books into the system, I think is what she told me.
Okay.
I believe that's how they
like that.
understood it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have, if you have further questions, I can ask her to come up. I just told her I couldn't give her a time because we were loaded. That's why I asked for her to email you guys.
I don't think we need,
I'm good with signing the contract.
Okay.
Motion?
Make a motion that we sign the contract for the recorder's office.
I'll second.
a motion and second. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, miscellaneous topics. Does anyone have anything?
Well, I just got an email from Mayor Hartman asking about when is the commissioner's real property tax sale?
October of every year.
Well, yeah, that's a normal tax sale.
The tax sales, he wanting to know when the certificate sale is?
Yeah, yeah.
And that
I'm
would-
sure that's what he's looking for.
Okay, and that was the one that we had decided we weren't gonna do this year? We were gonna wait a year because we just we've done it the last couple years, so we were gonna wait a year because a lot of them are repeat ones. They got quite a few, you guys assigned quite a few certificates to them last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's
More?
some property, well, not that the city wants.
I think he personally
But,
is
but,
interested.
but, yeah. They'd like to get those actually developed and by private sources and back on
Put
the
it back on the tax
rolls.
rolls. I like that.
Yeah,
So we don't have anything this fall then, huh?
We
Well,
will
we
have our
will-
tax sale in the fall, we just don't have this
The commissioner.
certificate sale
Yeah.
in the spring. Normally, that's like in March.
In March.
okay.
So it'll be a year from now. And commissioner sale.
Certificate sale.
Assignment.
All right. I will respond accordingly.
Okay. Anything else?
I have all kinds of things.
Oh,
I know, right?
we got
This is
time.
easy stuff. I had scanned in from the Indiana Election Division. There were 2 precinct boundary changes that had previously, you guys have been working on. And we got receipt that they were approved because there was language in there. I didn't know if you wanted to just acknowledge you received them or if it doesn't matter. That's up to you guys.
for the district.
Redistricting.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to acknowledge receipt of the redistricting report. Or document.
I'll second.
Have a motion and second on the floor. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries. It was good news to get that.
Yes.
if we don't get that approval, we gotta go back to the drawing board. I assume.
The other thing that we had, we were waiting, Andrew had gotten the okay with Sculpin for, I don't remember what field it was.
250. We were wanting it,
250.
increase from 200 to 250, and they were fine with that.
Oh,
Oh, on the
Sculpin.
agreement, yeah.
Yep.
On the, yes.
Solar agreement,
And the consultants
Yeah.
and
yeah,
Yep.
enforcement and site inspection.
yeah.
So is that so my question is one, you guys had already approved this, and then they came back with these changes, so now we need to reapprove it? I don't know how that works.
Well, I mean, the county commissioners indicated they would approve it with the 250.
No, they actually
Yeah,
approved
they
it
approved it
prior
subject to that?
prior
Or prior
to
to
you.
that, okay.
They actually approved it, and then when we sent it, then, so Sculpin sent us a document, they approved it, and then when we sent it back, then they wanted to change it again.
So has the newest updated contract been signed yet? Okay, then maybe you should vote on approving the final form with the 250, and
Okay,
I guess, I mean, you've already approved part of it, but might as well have something officially on the record for the State Board of Accounts.
okay, I agree.
okay, motion?
Go ahead, Mike.
I'll move that we approve the amended agreement for consultants and site inspections with, well, that applies to all that, or that one's for Sculpin. yeah.
professionals.
Yeah.
A motion and second. Comments? Public?
Wait,
Larry Williams, 418 Woodland Trail, Auburn. Are these subject to any kind of, are these, are there changes in conditions from the original to the second document? Do you have any new conditions that obligate you or change the nature of your agreement,
No,
other than the amount of money?
no,
What are the changes they made?
just the amount, just a cap of $250,000.
Okay, that's all I needed.
Yeah. Yeah, no other changes.
Okay, thanks.
With having to pay the consultant fees, of course, on our behalf. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. A motion and second.
I think so.
yeah, yes. Yes, we do.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. All right, Susan, what you got next?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, the Council on Aging, you wanted to bring up the whole DocuSign thing? Remember that?
You got your copy?
So she sent us the copy. So it looks like your signature did go through, which you guys already approved that, to do that when she was here. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to get it to come to me so that I can print it and it would be signed. I know that, like, I sign community corrections ones, I sign highway ones. Most of the DocuSigns come right to me as your guys' secretary. So like you guys have approved it, then you've approved it, so then I can get it sent on down the line. But Tracy and I have both asked, I think her name is April, and she won't do any changes, and I don't know if you're able to do any changes with her or not.
I asked for it and
I
got no
don't know.
reply, actually.
Okay, I don't know why this is the only one that is not allowed to come
Yeah.
to me as your secretary
It
to
comes to
help.
me and me alone. And we'd like it, I'd like to come to everybody, actually. And, but it won't come that way. Susan can't even get it, so, but she did finally get it with
Yeah, I
my
get
signature.
it. Tracy will send it to me, but the problem is once he signs in, it's gonna time out on him if he doesn't sign it in a certain amount of time. But then once he signs it, he can't send it to me because
Right.
it's stuck in this DocuSign system. So like when I get the community corrections ones, when I sign them for you guys, then I have it right there and I can get it before something times out. It's a nightmare.
And I was actually able to print it off, but one page at a time.
Right.
I cannot print the whole document unless I go one page at a time and print each page. So
That's crazy.
I don't think we need to do anything more with that.
Okay,
Signed, sealed, and delivered,
perfect.
public transportation. In case anybody's wondering what that was about.
The DART.
DART, yeah. Between the county and state highway.
That's all I have.
All you have?
That's the minutes with the
Corrections?
correction, yeah.
Lost it. Okay, we got 25 minutes, gentlemen. Is Ben still out there?
Was a minute ago.
He's
You want me
still out
to
there.
check and bring him in?
Yeah, let's bring him in. I think we can go ahead and get started with him.
At least do the normal stuff, the opening of bids or the
Right.
approval of bids, we have to wait till the allotted time, don't we? Or the ward, or not?
No,
Oh, wait, no, because it's not, yeah, because we already approved it,
he just reviewed them.
yeah.
Yeah. We can get him in and out, and then we'll have a little more time with Brady,
Yeah, there we
which I
go.
think we might need.
Yeah.
Yeah, just normal stuff.
I really don't have much for you guys till 10:15, or we can award bids. I suppose since it was a bid and advertised that way, we ought to stay on schedule with it.
I don't know if we have to or not.
I think if it's been advertised that way, then you at least
Better.
have to have an official hearing opened and closed within a few minutes or something like that. Yeah.
All right.
So the public notice
Spoil
laws.
our fun.
So you advertise?
No, but
No, maybe just
we
open 'em.
advertised,
Opening
in the
bids.
bid specs, it would be awarded the second meeting
At that time.
At 10:15
after the
or
bid
something.
opening at my scheduled time.
Try to
So,
stick to that if we're doing that.
Yeah,
I think so.
we can do
Yeah.
that. We can do that.
Even if nobody
just to be
complains, you
safe, I
gotta
don't,
stick with the
I don't
times.
anticipate anyone coming. The fuel bid's been awarded, but just stay kosher. That'd be my recommendation, but
Did diesel go up with gasoline last week?
I don't know. I think so, but
I didn't see the gas went up. I didn't pay attention where the diesel was at and where it ended up. But,
Went up 30 cents.
yeah.
yeah, I know gas went up 30 cents from where it was. So, other than the bids, I don't have much, just a little FYI for you guys. Bridge 9, right now is tentatively still scheduled to start February 6th for reconstruction. AEP has not fulfilled their temporary move yet, so hopefully that don't prolong us. They've received their notice to proceed, and of course, the phone companies can't move until AEP moves their poles back, and then the phone company's gonna move and attach to them poles. So we've been coordinating with utility companies to make sure that they are on schedule. So hopefully, everything goes to plan. Well, Zachary should be starting around February 6th. Then on Bridge 57, I'm working on getting the bid docs finished up for that. Hopefully, I'll have them done here in the next couple of weeks, and then we can get that project out to bid. For that, that's the bridge on County Road 40. That's going to have a mill and overlay on the deck. Some concrete underneath in case the pilings, additional riprap on both sides underneath. That was a pretty easy project, mostly the deck, mill and overlay. The
County Road 40, where at, Ben? Where's that?
east of 71.
East,
between
so
70
far out there, okay.
Yeah, so it's between 75 and 71.
Okay, pretty far out.
Yeah, that bridge has got a issue with the deck's going bad on me, it's potholing and things, so it's important we get that one done. The trouble I'm working on with that one is trying to get a detour route established. Because, you know, State Road 249 comes in on 40. So we're working with Ohio and trying to detour back to keep them off to even coming in. Because once you come into DeKalb County, you got 75 go north or south on, and really it's, for trucks running that way, I really don't want them running it. You're gonna have some come that way, we just ain't gonna stop it. But I'm trying to get the official detour back into Ohio, down to 1, or into 8, then back up to 8 up to 1 is what I'm trying to do. You know, then the locals can go down 75 or whatever, but so working on that. And then Bridge 132 is, if everything gets approved through the state, that bridge will be able to be eliminated. And we'll be able to put a small structure in there in place of it. So all the hydraulics worked. So we're waiting on, we had to do a little extra permitting on that and approvals. So when that comes back, that project will be moving.
Good.
Bid specs are coming together for the community crossings. It's taking a little bit extra effort because the city of Auburn, we are bidding that with a mandatory alternate for the city of Auburn's portions of County Road 35. So after some discussions, we found that it's going to be better to bid it together, but to have it with 2 separate contracts than like what we've done in the past because of the community crossings on our part of the paperwork trail, just to keep it cleaner and easier for when we do our closeout. So that's progressing forward as well. So just a lot of wheels turning in different areas. County Road 72. 9's County Road 60.
And then you and I had talked a little bit about the claim from the bridge over at Spencerville. And I think the insurance company is going to deny that out of the gate, I think. See what happens. Based upon my discussion, I didn't think we necessarily had the liability for that as a county.
And I sent you guys an email with the signs that are posted now.
Yeah. One has a flashing,
They both
light
do.
on it. Yeah.
They both do now.
Oh, they did?
Just the picture I had, I didn't, them lights has got to sit out in the sun for a few days to charge.
Okay, they're solar.
So we put the signs up first and then went back and put the flashers up, yeah. Yeah, they are solar.
They might start working in March.
They might. Yeah, we need to get some grow lights to set them under, because, they do.
Crow lights.
I don't think you want to be ordering those, but yeah.
They had that on the news yesterday about people, and through the winter months, they got them, I forget what they call them, lights that you set under.
Oh, yeah.
I seen that.
Sunlights.
Yeah, so see, I gotta get them for our solar lights and to recharge them. So, but, that's all I had. I did send you guys the bid packets. Did you guys have any questions on any of that?
No,
can
I
answer?
I did actually.
Did you?
Calcium chloride. Do we use the 42 or the 38%?
38%.
38% is a better buy per unit. Or, I'm sorry, 42% is actually a better buy per unit percent-wise. Should we be using the 42% to give you a little more effective? Money-wise, there's not much difference. I forget the numbers. It wasn't very much.
Close.
It's pretty close. It wasn't a big upgrade, a big upcharge.
Concentration of it?
Yeah.
the-
It's
versus water or
42%
whatever else
active
is in it.
ingredients compared, yeah.
$1.27 versus $1.20. That's closer than what it's been in previous years. Difference-wise, typically it's more than that.
How much does that 4% concentration make a difference? Do you lay it,
I don't know how much difference it will make. The thing of it is that where we treat annually. You know, so on new overlays, we shoot higher than a 42% anyway for the road constructions we do. But I don't know whether we would make that much difference over our annuals or not, because like I say, we're shooting it back on top. So
Well, we get complaints though about it not being effective after a certain amount of time. And
Well,
that's
that's gonna
why
happen regardless, I'm afraid.
we won't know that until we try it, would we?
We can
Actually,
try it this year if you like to. Makes me no difference. You're talking 7 cents a gallon.
how many gallon?
Cost you additional about $12,000.
What was the total of the 38?
It's $1.20 a gallon.
No, I mean the total amount. What are we talking about? Total outlay of money.
About 190,000.
What do you think, guys? Opinions, discussion?
I mean, our quantities change every year.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's more people build or a little extra here, shutting off quicker, sooner. I mean, the quantities are never the same, but
It's not a precise science.
roughly 160,000 a year gallons. I mean, we can look into it.
12,000 more a year, did you say?
Yeah.
What do we budget for that?
You didn't budget anything for it typically. I don't know, I guess I don't know how you did your budget this year. Normally that comes out of, the highway operations that you fund me. So whatever that amount is, that just comes out of that amount.
The 1.25,
1.2 million, what we had
yeah,
for operations.
1.25.
So that will come out of that. Because I don't have a line item for it.
Okay. I was thinking we used to, evidently.
You used to,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you used to have 3 different line items that you give me.
No, it's just all one.
Yep. And then we diverse
Said
it
we
out.
won't know if we don't try.
I'm not opposed to it. We can see what it does.
All right, I'm
See if
good
it
with
makes
it.
any difference.
Let's try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's try it. And if nothing else, I mean, I know sometimes it seems like they run a little thin, and that could be by driving speed.
This year, we didn't have the trouble we did the year past. Year
We
past,
have
they
had some
that-
trouble.
Their applicator, something broke and got down into the nozzles of the truck. They wasn't shooting a rate, and they had new guys spraying. This last year, we didn't have any trouble. But we have had a drought. You know, we're still in a drought, and that stuff's controlled by rain and moisture, and so drier it is, it's gonna seek in the ground. It's inevitable it's gonna happen.
Let's try it, see how it works out.
I'm good with that.
Okay. I got one other item. County Road 44, been a request for a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit on that road. Have we ever done a study on that road? It'd be required, wouldn't it?
Probably should.
What do you think?
Currently 55 there, right? Where's that located at, 40?
Right out of SDI's driveway to cross to, well, it ends up, they end up over in what, 1? What they do, they cut across to 1 instead of taking
Typically, they go to
the
six- typically they go to
designated routes.
63.
Oh, 40, yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, a lot of complaints of dust and so forth.
The
I wouldn't be
speeding
opposed
complaint,
to
they always have said it's from shift change. Well, that's kind of a program issue, you want to call it, if it was patrolled.
Yeah.
Because until it's patrolled, speed limit signs ain't gonna make that big of a difference.
Yeah, that's true.
So they're saying it's during the shift changes from SDI is when that road gets traveled the most and they fly down it. Well, if they know when that schedule is, if it's patrolled during that time, they'll probably eliminate the speeding on that road. Because they're gonna speed whether we post at 30, 40.
The thing is, though, at 55, they can run 60 and probably not get pulled over.
They could.
Could, theoretically.
Oh,
But
yeah.
will they? If it's 45 and they're running 60, that's a no-brainer, they're gonna get pulled over. that was my thinking on the thing as far as dropping 40. Yeah, they're still going to speed, obviously, but it's going to be easier to enforce that than the 55 because of any denials of speed. No, I was only going 56. Why would you stop me for 56? And it becomes that's why they usually do that 5-mile-an-hour leeway over the top because.
Is dust control a legitimate reason for a road study?
That's the road, section road sprayed solid. SDI pays for that.
Okay.
And more frequently than.
Yeah, SDI pay, I know they, but is that a reason to do a study, is dust? Or is it traffic specifically?
Traffic would be, legitimate.
Is the complaints the dust, right?
Well, complete traffic, speed.
Speeds.
Speeds too, they are worried about
Because
speed.
the amount of traffic and the speed they're running
Yeah.
is the combination of the two is. And of course, when the dust control starts to fizz out or it's been too dry to activate it,
Yeah,
then you get even more dust because they're running 55, 60
But
down through there.
there's no crash data that I'm aware of on any of that. I mean, as far as being crashes,
Yeah.
and that's one thing they look at for establishing the speeds.
just can't imagine running 60 on a gravel road. I just tear the crap out of your car.
I can't imagine running 30 on a
Yeah,
gravel road.
I go like 4.
Stone chips all over
Please,
the
no
place.
one come the other way, you know?
Believe me, they do it.
Yeah.
The gravel road to the north of me they come down through there sometimes. Amazing.
Yeah.
Typically people run 40 to 50 mile an hour down a gravel roads, the typical
really?
speed. And it
Fast.
stirs up dust.
Oh, I would think.
I mean, from
Be
the-
infuriating.
The dust, the sound of the gravel, that's where people think that they're just flying. I mean, but there's some, don't get me wrong, there's some people just drive crazy. Realistically, it's 40 to 50 mile an hour.
What do you think? I'm in favor, personally, I'm in favor of doing a study and dropping that speed limit if it calls for it.
NERC does the studies for us.
And it'll be spring before they do it.
Yeah.
I'd be good with that, if there's a request and,
And as luck would have it, the sheriff just dropped in. He might have some insight into the enforcement that we were talking about, if it's a shift change situation with SDI.
come on up to the podium. Hold up your right hand.
I do solemnly swear.
Hate to put you on the spot, Sheriff, but.
Well,
we're-
I walked into the middle of the conversation, so I'm not aware of what you guys were discussing.
There's a section of County Road 44 off of SDI Road 59 that goes east. Just kind of right across from Steel Mill Road. It goes over to 63, then goes on over to 1. That people are flying down it during their shift change is what we've been told. Commissioners asked about changing the speed limit to 45, but it sounds like it's an enforcement at certain times that I think you'd be able to hit the people that are causing issues. I don't know if they asked about doing a traffic study and maybe lowering the speed to 45, or if you'd like to do enforcement the way it is now and see what you get.
We can certainly do that. It would be peak times out there, so we would know when to focus out there. So that would be beneficial to be able to be out there at those times and, kind of going out there sometimes, kind of coming and going, some days be there, some days not. That's beneficial sometimes. Maybe do it heavy for a little bit and then give it a month and you go back out there and do it again. And it might only take a little bit of doing that.
If
Could be
you're okay
beneficial.
with that, because it will be, and let me know what your findings are, because it will be spring before we count it. 'Cause
Okay.
we don't like to put the counters out, because if we get a snow event,
Yeah.
we gotta run it, so,
Snowplow's kind of hard on them.
yeah.
Big time.
And since we don't own them, I don't like to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's worth trying. I mean, nothing to lose by doing that for sure.
Okay.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Okay. That's all I've got. Anyone else? Anything for Ben?
County Road 35 between Morning Star and 40A, I guess you call it Wesley Road, 40A. The edge of that road is just falling apart. Is that pretty normal for that section of road to be that way?
All the roads are kind of taking a beating right at the moment.
Yeah. Is that a lot of
Frost
peat, though, dirt in that road, or?
Not that I know of.
Really?
It's just, a lot of that is a drainage issue. If you look on the south side of the road, it holds a lot of water down in through there. Whenever you see water holding like that, it's gonna naturally sleep underneath the road. It's gonna cause that road edge to be soft.
South side of the road.
North side of the road, excuse me. North side.
Well, it runs north and south, 35.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Wesley Road.
No, 35.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Between Wesley and Morning Star, it's just the edge is really bright, and I see if cold patched a few spots. I just didn't know if we had a problem with the road itself.
That's why it's getting redone.
Is it getting redone? Is it on the?
That's the one we're talking about doing, that's the one that actually is getting done this year. It's on the
Okay.
community crossing. I knew it was a matter of time,
Yeah, she's coming apart pretty. It's fine. It's just, I'm just afraid. that
because see, we
someone's
go
gonna-
from 40 up to Duplex Drive.
Yes.
We stop at Duplex, and then we go, that's city from there up to the north boundary line of Bridgewater Addition. So
Oh.
they go probably 600, 800 feet north of Morning Star is the city.
So
We pick up there, and then we go to Waterloo city limits.
So you're saying from Duplex Drive to just south of Morning Star, the city actually takes care of 35 in that
North of
section.
Morning Star.
That's why I meant north of, really?
Yeah.
The city takes care of that. They're also taking care of Morning Star, obviously, but we still have the bridge on our inventory on Morning
The
Star,
bridge is
right?
ours, yes.
So the bridge is ours, even though the street is theirs. Okay.
But that is all getting milled and overlaid this summer.
So is the city participating in that then? Okay. All right.
That's why I was discussing about doing the bids, the mandatory alternate.
I got
That way,
you.
when I bid that, they're gonna get a better bid going off when they're there off our contractors. So, but then they'll have their own contract to award or not award, which I don't imagine them not awarding it, because you're gonna go from new pavement to junk
Yeah.
back to new.
Yeah.
And that's why I got with the city before I put on my community crossings to talk with them about their participation in it. And, that way we did it as a team effort.
Gotcha.
Just see, then they go from State Road 8 is Auburn, south to that ditch,
On 35, south
35.
of State Road 8?
Yep,
Okay.
that is city.
To the ditch.
Yep, from that ditch to Auburn Drive is ours.
Really? The
So-
ditch to Auburn Drive's ours, though?
Yep. So
That's
it's-
odd.
Yeah, so then
Can we
we
give that all
go,
to the city?
be nice.
Okay.
Then from State Road 8 north, I mean, that section between 40A and 8 is ours.
Yes.
And then we go north of 40 up to Duplex Drive, we stop to north of Morning Star. Then we turn back over, then we stop at the Waterloo south boundary limit right there.
Like, city should just take from like Morning Star to
If,
Auburn Drive,
yeah.
the whole
that'd be
thing.
nice. That's all part of their annexation stuff. I mean,
Okay.
however that,
All right. Interesting.
because actually Auburn just took in their road inventory, Wesley Road, which is our 40, from 35 west, but it used to be ours. Because it made more sense for them to have that in their road inventory than us to have that little piece. Because we went from there up to the fire hydrant I went to, but I don't know what the distance
Really?
that is. So Auburn took that in, and we took some more of 36A to kind of swap the inventories for it. It just makes sense as far as maintenance and
Sure.
snow plow routes, and a lot of these roads went half and half, so half the road was ours, half the road was Auburn. Well, how do you do that?
But like when you plow 35, you certainly just leave the plow down for that
You
half
do.
mile or whatever, don't you?
You do. But
Rip
when
up the
the
plow,
biggest thing comes in with road maintenance,
Yeah.
is how you divide that up.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm trying to go through with these cities and towns to where we split in the middles. Who's gonna take it? You want it, I'll take it from here on, you take it from here to there. And try to do it wherever it's most rural or city, what makes more sense. Because that stuff is split down the middle is just havocesome.
Oh, yeah.
Some, cities or towns are really good to deal with on it, and the other ones are just strictly, I ain't doing it, it's not mine. Just like what we did over here on, County Road 60 in St. Joe. That made complete sense for that to be theirs.
Absolutely.
You know, and just, why are we going down there and doing a quarter mile section, turning around in the city and coming back out?
Driving
Okay,
spikes through it.
gentlemen, we are due for break.
Oh,
Pledge.
yep.
Don't forget to turn your mics off.
Turn the mics off. It's okay, you can leave it up. Yeah. Yeah,
Chris Ballmer sending me pictures of myself saying, this was fun to watch.
there you go. There you go. Where's Todd? Oh. You're high level, top level.
We just solved the world's problems in 38 seconds.
There you go.
Wax on, Danielson.
Okay. Ben, let's finish you up. You out of here.
Last thing I have is our annual material bids we received. I did go through all the bids, they all complied. I sent you guys a list of the bid results by email, sent one to Andrew as well. We had some discussion earlier about some questions. Is there any other questions or concerns you guys seen with the annual bids this year?
None here.
None here. Anything, Mike?
Like I said, I haven't either. We got them all filled out here as far as, broke down who's the bids for each different department or company. So if you guys didn't have any questions, I don't. I'm good with everything. I would entertain that someone make a motion that we accept all bids as presented for 2023.
Motion?
So moved.
A motion, a second. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
That's all I had, so,
That's it, huh?
yep.
Okay.
When does 35 get done, Ben?
I will know more once we get it bid, but it will be this summer.
Is it gonna be in summer?
So typically, they'll have a window, so I'll probably give them a window from May to October 1st.
What kind of reconstruction will it be? Will it be,
We're doing a mill and overlay.
you'll
on
do a
it.
mill and full mill
Yeah,
overlay?
my concern with that road is we're getting so much delamination in it.
Yeah,
I don't want to overlay it, so we're gonna mill 1.5 inches off that, and that's where I'm hoping I will have more idea at the new highway facility, because right now I've got it in the bid that we're gonna take all the millings,
oh, okay, yeah.
because I want the millings.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I can just have a spot to put them and not be obstructing any of the construction.
And we can use that millings for base somewhere else later, right?
Base, we make pug out of it, we use it.
Pug.
We can go through and spray an emulsion in it, and
Oh,
actually almost take it like a coal patch again.
really? Yeah, I like
It's
that
just, I've
idea.
had the trouble with where I'm at, I don't have the facility to do it.
Yeah.
I can't bring in a pug mill and set up and then have our power screen running and running the equipment that we need to do it. I've just
Right.
been landlocked so much. And like right now, I don't have room for it from our stone that's there and all of our winter sand. So we gotta get all of our winter sand out in order to have room for other materials in the summer. It's just, it's been a hassle. We've missed out on a lot of opportunities over the years because of not having the space. You know, we missed out this year on some millings, free millings from E&B when they did, or maybe it was last year, when they did State Road 8. Had no place for it.
Room. Yeah, the new property will be good for having room, that's for sure.
And, you know, that was all up in debate yet, of what was gonna be,
Yeah.
we didn't wanna have an issue with, the state still has, millings that if we wanna get, we can get from them, yeah.
Can we still get some? I think we need to get probably with FCI and Elevitis or get some of that information and figure out where we can pile that. I'm sure there's spots out there we can utilize.
Right. You know, and Henderson hadn't got all his stuff out of there yet.
Yeah.
It's just kind of been so I'm hoping by this summer, we'll have a spot there we can dump them millings.
Yeah. We will make a spot. One way or the other.
Right.
Yeah, we got to have that flexibility.
So yeah, 35 will all be milled and overlaid, with a lot of deep patching in it. Them spots that are breaking up real bad. And then, Mrs. Rowell there, Eric Rowell's mom, you guys know where that water issue is there on the east side, just north of Morningstar. City and us are supposed to go out there and work with that.
What will be done or what can be done with those edges that break down so much? I mean, they're gonna keep,
Hopefully with the mill and overlay, and we won't have that for, I mean, they're just breaking down over time. Just- A lot of it is, actually, I don't know, most time it's soft soils underneath that cause that to push.
Yeah.
But, you know, you look at State Road 8, they just redid all that out by SDI, and them shoulders are already pushing again.
yeah. Problem with those edges is they get more water under them than the center of the road. When it freezes, it pushes more. When it thaws, it's softer. And then the other problem is some of the crown in these roads. There's so much angle to them. When a heavy truck or school bus even goes down them, that roadside wheel has more pressure per square inch than the center line wheel. And so it just puts more stress on that already softer surface, or underlay, I should say.
You know, I don't know when the last time was that road's been surfaced. I know when we chip sealed it in 16 or 18. It was 18. Chip sealed it last. Other than that, we haven't done nothing. Just do. Like I said, it's showing it this year, this winter. So,
And I assume when that's redone, that crown will be to specs instead
and
of,
it's supposed to be 2%.
yeah.
That will help with milling that road as well, because when they mill that, that will help get the grade set. And then we come in and put the surface on it.
We did an overlay out here on 40. We looked at it out there by the cemetery, county farm. You don't realize how much crown is in some of these roads till
yeah.
you walk on them.
Yeah.
And that road has spots already the edges are starting to creep out. And it's forming seams right about in the middle of the driving lane where those edges are starting to scoot because of
That's the
so
bad
much
thing with a lot of
crown.
these rural county roads, that's what they are, is they've had a higher crown and to go in and do it, to eliminate all that and do a full reconstruction, you're adding thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, a lot. If we to go in and do that, we're only gonna do a handful of miles a year.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
You're getting into the $200,000 a mile range, aren't you?
You know, on some roads, it's gonna need that.
They're
That
never
road there
right
should
till
have
you
had more
do.
material put in it. I wasn't real happy with the contractor that done that, because we had the material, and they didn't use it, so we actually give back money off that grant that year. They was told to use it.
Okay.
It happens, I guess, unfortunately. Unless you walk along that paver every day with them, I mean, you're kinda, we're not running the screws, so they are. But, okay,
Hey, Ben.
Thanks,
thank you,
Ben.
guys.
Have a good one.
You too.
Sheriff Thomas, you are up. You come up, have a,
You can sit down if you like, if you'd rather sit. Is that all right, Bill? Sit
Sure.
down, Yeah.
just punch that mic on.
Yeah, just so the green light comes on.
Ben can come too if you want him to.
Oh, I don't think he,
Okay.
well, thank you for having me today. I'm Brady Thomas, the sheriff of DeKalb County. I just took office at the beginning of January, so I just had, before I talk about the topics I'm scheduled for, just a quick administrative note from the office. Over time, the sheriff's office has been referred to by different names. Some of them have been sheriff's office, DeKalb County Police, and more recently, the sheriff's department. To call this department's not entirely accurate, as it generally refers to a branch or division of a government administration that is subordinate to local county governing bodies. The office of sheriff is established by the Constitution of the state of Indiana. It is a constitutional office having exclusive powers and authority under the state law and the state's constitution. Going forward, we will identify ourselves as the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office. Establishing this will provide uniformity and consistency, but more importantly, the name Sheriff's Office is a reminder of its establishment by the Constitution and its important historical significance. So just wanted to make that note to notify everybody of that. The first topic that I'm scheduled to speak about this morning is courthouse security. So there's two issues when it comes to courthouse security. Cell phones being permitted or banned from the courthouse, and the second one is how the county employees are entering the building. We need to keep in mind, I think, why courthouse security was established in the first place, which I believe is to ensure a citizen is not bringing a weapon into the courthouse. That seems to have morphed into banning cell phones and also having employees screened. The cell phone ban in the courthouse is unreasonable, unnecessary, and I also think not a safety issue. I'm aware of one issue when it comes to allowing cell phones into the courthouse, which is the courts on the third floor. They do not want cell phones in the courtrooms. So what does that result in? Take this example into consideration. Joe wants to come to the courthouse and attend a lengthy public meeting, such as we're in now. Joe is a business owner and/or on call for work, but cannot bring his cell phone with him because a judge on the third floor doesn't want someone to have a cell phone in his courtroom. Courthouse employees can testify to the daily inconveniences that are caused by this cell phone ban. I do understand the court's issue with cell phones in the courtroom, and I do want to work with the judges to come up with a solution. The second issue is how courthouse employees enter the building for work on a daily basis. Currently, they're being screened the same as the general public coming into the courthouse. County employees have been screened and vetted to handle the most important business of county government. I believe they can be trusted to come to work without their purse or personal bag being searched. What I am proposing at this time is evaluation and collaboration. I would like to consult with the experts. The Office of Court Services out of Indianapolis has experts and resources for court security, and they're happy to assist us. I would like to have some meetings with the involved parties, think outside the box, and try to come up with a solution that would be feasible for everybody involved. And that's all I have for courthouse security at this time.
Okay, comments, questions?
Few comments, if that'd be all right.
I think so. We can.
I happen to agree, our employees, whether you're a prosecutor or a judge or a recorder or a treasurer, you're all serving the county. We're trusting our law enforcement and our prosecutor more than we are our employees. I think if our employees, if we can't trust them, they shouldn't be working here. So I think they should be treated the same as the prosecutor and public defender and the judges as far as being able to, I would just like to see them use a different entrance so they're not clogging up that security entrance if possible. I think to handle the cell phones, it's fairly simple. And I do think we have to protect the third floor from the cell phones. The judges have asked for it. They know their business. I think we need to honor that. With that said, we're inconveniencing 75% of the rest of the courthouse for this. I think if you have on the sandwich board out there, the sign, no cell phones on the third floor. A sign on the door when you come in, no cell phones on the third floor. And we'd have to do an ordinance for this, but a fine, $500 fine, $1,000 fine, I don't care, high enough that it hurts badly. And then if you have lockers, again, the public still has to go through the security. So if they have a cell phone on them, it's going to be detected. The officer says, I see you have your cell phone. You cannot be on the third floor, $1,000 fine. There's lockers if you want to put it in now. You put lockers off to the side, right there. And then, again, sign on the elevator and then sign on the third floor stairs as well. If you have that many signs, a warning from the officer and lockers available, they deserve a $1,000 fine if they get caught with it on the third floor. And I think that takes care of the issue. And also the backlog, especially in the winter, trying to get in the building by having the employees come in a different entrance would serve the public better, but not us clogging up the access to the courthouse. So that's my opinions, but I'd like to hear maybe what the Office of Court Services has to feel or feels about that, and you as well.
Okay, Mike?
Well, I think if you're going to ban cell phones just from the third floor, you're gonna have to have somebody on the third floor policing that as people go up and down. You know, I don't think you're gonna get, if somebody wants to bring a phone in bad enough, they're gonna do it regardless of how many signs you put up. And, you know, I think the judges have probably more than enough authority to enforce a ban on the third floor, regardless of what we think about it. And you can make a very good case for cell phones coming in the business offices. You know, I think the long-term best solution is to get the business offices out of the courthouse.
Agreed.
And bring probation and public defender and law enforcement into the courthouse and have security set up. That's not going to happen overnight. So I'm certainly willing to have that conversation and would like to hear what court services and, you know, there are security plans already in place for the courthouse anyway. I put the question out on the Association of County Commissioners forum, just asking about the other counties, what kind of policies they have. Not that that is necessarily dictates what we do, but they may have some ideas. You know, as far as the employee entrance, I'm okay. Either way, I mean, I stood out there last winter with the whole vestibule full, and it was like 4 or 5 seconds, boom, 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 boom. So I don't think it's a huge issue one way or another. But again, it's a conversation worth having.
I think as far as the signage, and like Todd says, I mean, we're talking signs. We're not talking plaques or at the top stairways on the third floor. The other place, I rode the elevator up to swearing in to the third floor, and a lot of people do ride the elevator going to the third floor. So we put a sign right on the back side of the elevator door. No phones. If you call it the phone, it's $500 fine. And about 2 of them, and it'll stop. It'll stop. But the signage has got to be really, really apparent. I mean, you almost have to put it where they'll have to walk around it or walk over it to get by it, and then they'll read it. Otherwise, it's just on the front of a little thing on the front of the courthouse door at the entrance. Never look at it.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
That's-
I guess my response would be if you don't have somebody on the third floor enforcing that, how are you going to end up finding
And I think
anybody?
that could be rotated
Yeah.
in and out, especially on court days when there's a heavy court date. You
Yeah.
have somebody,
Have one of the officers do a,
yeah, just do a walkthrough. now and
Every
then,
15
Because
minutes or
people they can't resist that cell phone. If it's on them, they're going to be, they'll have it out looking at it. He sure is not. As far as the entrance, I think really we need to bring them through the security screening. One reason is somebody else following them into another entrance. And it's going to be a lot of people coming into a separate entrance. I think the big holdup at the security entrance isn't getting through the entrance, it's the bag check. And almost all our employees have a bag that they look into. They don't know what's in the bottom of the bag, obviously, which negates that practice. But anyway, that's the big holdup. I think if they can walk right through there, bling, bling, it would not be that backup.
well, what keeps though the probation, public defender, judges and the police officers from letting people walk? We're treating.
I can't answer that.
Well, I mean, we're treating employees differently according to their class, and I don't know that that's.
On the other hand, and I hate to bring that up in relationship to DeKalb County, but if you look at the number of workplace incidences where an employee has, shot up the place or, any number of instances like that. And so,
But we just said, though, we wouldn't be looking in their bag anyway, so if they're gonna shoot the place up, they're gonna shoot.
well, I guess my thought is, I just don't see where it's that big of a problem. The current system, everybody's used to it. The queue moves through pretty quickly.
In answer to treating employees different, we already are doing that to a higher extent than what we would be if we let them walk through without checking their bags. In other words, it's going to be a benefit to the employee. Even though they're going to do a different entrance, it's going to be better than the old way where they had to stop, had their bag checked. But checking it, like I say, checking these bags is not very thorough. There's too many ways of, you could tape a gun to the bottom of that bag for crying out loud. And who's going to know it? Who's going to look under that bag? It just doesn't happen.
Can I comment?
Sure.
Okay, so leaving the employees coming through the system and not checking bags, then you're gonna have all the public watching all that, and then the officers are gonna have a constant fight of, well,
That was a
she
point I
just
wanted
walked
to
through
make.
there and you didn't do anything to her. The other thing with the cube is, and this isn't everybody, when the courthouse isn't open, I have a lot of problems getting through to get in here to work. I know not everybody works like I do, but that is an issue. So if it doesn't change like on the daily, then I don't know if something can be done for when it's not open to be able to get through it, because it's, if I don't have my phone and call the department, the office, call the sheriff's office, then
DeKalb County
I don't
Sheriff.
get through.
And I think that's a very valid point outside of normal courthouse hours, or normal security hours, very, very much so.
I don't disagree with some of your comments either. And again, I think all the discussion comes back to the original purpose of that security, which was, I think, to prevent a citizen from bringing a weapon into the building. So during the hours. So if there's a meeting in the evening time at 6:30 in the evening, can we treat that differently than we do during business hours when court is in session? I think there's potential to do that. But again, I'm not the expert in it, and I do want to consult with the experts and get some consultants in, bring them in when maybe we can all walk with them together and evaluate what we're doing, take into consideration what other counties are doing. I'm sure other counties have had these issues before, and how have they addressed them? But it's important to me anyway to thoroughly vet and do a lot of consideration before just implementing something that's going to cause a headache or a problem somewhere else.
Oh, I appreciate that. You know, I don't know how we have this conversation without including the judges in anyway, because, you know, if you look at the ordinance that covers that, they have a big
Oh, and I completely agree.
part of that.
I think this was more of a preliminary kind of
Yeah.
Yeah,
getting
this
started
is
here, so they certainly.
Starting
Yeah.
point.
Sure, got to start somewhere.
Yeah, and one thing that might alleviate the public versus the employee conversation that Susan brought up is the employee would have to have their badge exposed on them, so that the public could see, yeah, they're employee, they got a badge, and that's how they're walking through without being
I have my
checked.
badge.
I'll have to find mine.
But anyway, just ideas. That's what we're here today, just throwing out ideas, and I want the judges, of course, to understand that. We're not superseding them or going to step over their ideas or anything like that. But it's going to take everybody involved to iron this out. But I think we need to make some changes. It just needs to be done. My thoughts. Anything else on that subject? Hearing none, we'll go on to the next. I believe, Brady, you got another topic?
Yeah, another topic that I'm here to talk about is lateral incentives for the sheriff's office to recruit certified officers. So we would like to focus on attracting police officers to our office. A police officer from another agency has already been trained, they bring experience with them, and they've already graduated from the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy, and they already know how to be a police officer. When we hire a brand-new person, it takes a good year to have them ready to patrol on their own. We have to send them to the academy, then they have to do field training, and then after that, they still have to want to be a police officer, and then they're ready to go. And we've experienced a little bit of that in the past where someone kind of falls out at some point through that process. Certified officer can be ready in as little as just a couple of months. In the past, we've had certified officers express that they did not come to the sheriff's office because they did not want to lose all the vacation time that they had accrued at their current employer. So today I'm proposing 2 ideas to assist us with attracting these officers. The first, requesting the commissioner's approval to accept certified officers' time of service at their previous employer and to be reflected in their PTO time. So to, excuse me, give an example on that, a certified officer from a neighboring town that has 4 years of service would be hired by the sheriff's office. Their 4 years would be calculated into the PTO time, giving them 15 days of PTO when they start, as opposed to what it would be under the current policy, which would be 5 days after 6 months. Like I mentioned, this specific issue is what they have cited as the reason for not joining. The second incentive that I'm proposing is the sheriff's office has a pay matrix, which increases the officer's pay based on their time of service with the county. I'm asking for approval to accept a certified officer's time of service at their previous employer, and that time be credited to them under the sheriff's pay matrix. So if an officer with 5 years of experience from another agency joins the sheriff's office, they would start at approximately $55,000 per year, rather than $53,500, which is for a brand-new officer. I believe if we implement both of these initiatives, it would positively affect our ability to attract certified officers while dramatically saving the county the expense of training. The advantages of implementing these 2 incentives, I believe, far outweigh any potential disadvantages.
Does it cost to send these officers to the training school?
Well, we do pay their full-time salary while they're there, so we have that expense. I don't have that number off the top of my head as far as what our cost is for the academy for them to attend.
It's expensive.
I think I remember a number of around all-in cost was right around 10,000 for an officer to go to the academy. By the time you pay for meals, training, hotels, the pay that you would pay them if they were out on the road instead. I think the number of 10,000 is
That's
one that
mine.
Sheriff Chirp told us about. He was in once.
And, and none of that takes into account the cost of overtime. Almost every day, we have officers working overtime, so we're paying that overtime. We had roughly $250,000 in overtime in our budget that we spent last year. That was our entire office, not just the road. But due to being short-staffed, we're also incurring the cost, not only the cost of that overtime, but the wear on the officer that's just worked 3 12-hour days, and sometimes now, when they're supposed to be off, they're working another 12-hour day at times. So considering that also.
The other component to that is if we don't keep our benefits up to par where they need to be, we're training somebody to make a lateral move to somebody else's department, and we got to start all over again because they have much more attractive benefits. And these benefits on lateral movements like that are really pretty commonplace, I think, among the departments.
Yeah,
That was going to be my question.
Yeah.
Does that work both ways?
it does. I mean, many agencies have implemented a cash bonus, a hiring bonus when they start. There's $5,000 out there. I've seen that several times.
Yeah.
So police departments are definitely having to get creative and compete, which makes sense. And we certainly can suffer from that same problem of officers leaving to go to another agency. And that just happens. Commonly it might be Fort Wayne City Police or the state police. But all we can do is run the best office that we can to try to retain them here. A lot of officers want to be in a more rural area. So that's not something everybody wants to do.
Comments, suggestions?
I like the idea of definitely paying them whatever they would earn if we get if we get a 10-year candidate that's a superstar. Why wouldn't you pay them? I would rather see a one-time cash payment than mess with PTO time personally. If it costs 10 grand to send someone to the academy, I have no problem saying, hey, here's a 10-year guy, let's take him to 55,000 and put 5,000 in his pocket And within a couple of years, he'll be up there to that PTO or close to it. And he can spend that money as he pleases. I just think if you make exceptions on the PTO, we've discussed that before, that you're gonna get other requests. Well, hey, I can hire, I'm the recorder's office, I can hire a assessor, this person's 12 years and has all the certifications, I need to give them PTO. You did it for the sheriff, you need to do it for us.
On the other hand, though, the sheriff's office
Yeah,
is already, has a substantially different benefit package than the rest of the employees, and the public safety, law enforcement is probably the most important primary benefit of county government anyway. So I think we have to kind of weight those decisions in favor of that premise too.
You know, the one thing that the cash payment that you were talking about that concerns me with that is I don't want to attract the wrong person or for the wrong reasons. You know, what's been expressed to me is the importance of that time off that they've already earned and appreciate. So that's been what has been expressed as the reason for not coming. They never said because of these other reasons. So I'd hate to do that and then have them go somewhere else after some period of time. I'd almost would think we would need a contract then if we're going to give them a cash payment, because what's to stop them from coming for a short time and going somewhere else. So I personally would advocate more for the PTO incentive over the cash payment. If we can go for both, I wouldn't be against that either, but.
I have a suggestion in that we pay them the top rate that they're qualified to receive, and that maybe instead of 15 or the extra 10 days, maybe an extra 5 days of PTO.
That's been discussed in the past, and I'm afraid, you know, my opinion on that is I'm not sure if it's a big enough incentive.
Along with the money?
Oh, along in conjunction with that.
Yeah, that would be a combination with the top pay.
I'd be supportive of that.
The other thing with the bonus that's going to come out of, that's going to be additional revenue spent. With the PTO days is basically not, we're going to pay them either way.
pay them whether they're working or not.
Or not working.
Yeah, and that is a good benefit. I get that. Yeah, and I'm open to that. I'm
And there
just,
again, and the other thing that gets in addition to that, it is case-by-case base, or situation. And some departments, if they hire certain people that are qualified, maybe this is something that could be considered as an incentive. And maybe not the total number of days, but, and yet on the other hand, if you have an employee that's not trained, comes in green, obviously, he's come from someplace else but doesn't know the job he's taken on here, obviously he's not going to get any PTO. Yeah. So we do have that latitude in that decision. Anyway, that's.
Yeah, recruiting and retention are just a huge issue right now, and I think particularly with the law enforcement end of things, we need to really think hard about how we want to structure that, and I mean, we're still how many road deputies are we short, Brady? About six.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's been that way for as long as I've been here. So, you know, I think we need to take a look at what we can do to help the sheriff have a more successful recruiting program.
You have people ready to make that transition?
Well, our we are running a lateral application process right now that's open. So as of right now, certified officers can apply at our office, and I haven't looked to see if anyone has. Over the past couple of years, I've heard a lot of people say that they want to. I didn't get caught up in it as far as I'm concerned when the deadline is here and whose application is sitting here, and that's what we evaluate. So we'll see. That's open for about another week. It would certainly be great to be able to add this on, that this is an incentive we have in case someone is, you know, debating their options and trying to make a decision. Help us immediately. We'll see who applies.
Okay. You'd like a decision on this no later than today?
Well, that's up to you guys, of course, but I can tell you our process will end in about a week. So if we're able to put this out there, that would be helpful. If we can't, I understand that too. I mean, it is me being here is last minute. I understand both ways.
What do you think, gentlemen? Ready to,
The PTO currently 5 days after 6 months.
right,
So you suggested, Bill, maybe pay appropriate to the time they were serving in their previous job, and then also up 5 days of additional PTO for a qualified candidate?
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think of the benefit of the fact that it's not actually costing us any more money. It's just that we're paying them for not being there versus the cash payout is an additional expense.
Right.
So I guess I could probably go along with that.
I don't know that helps just to pin a number of, like, say, 5 days, because if you have a 10-year guy making a lateral transfer, 5 days isn't going to be very attractive.
How about 50% of his PTO? So if it's more than 10 days, say it's 15 days, he gets another 7.5 days. Or something like that, you split it in half. It's kind of what I meant anyway.
Okay.
I said 5 days,
Yeah,
but I meant,
okay.
actually meant to split the time or split the
That's
days.
more clear. I don't know that, personally, I don't know that it makes that I think we need to err the other direction if we're going to err.
Well, let's,
I would be in favor of whatever their seniority level is to use that number.
how's current
So-
PTO according to time working? What is this, how does the scale go on PTO days earned?
5 days at 6 months.
Okay.
Then when you complete a year, you get 10. And then when you complete 2, 3, and 4, you're at 15.
Oh, so you go to 15 and 2, 3, and 4.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you go to 20. And then it goes up 5 days. Once you're at 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, you're at 30. And after 20 and more, then you're at 35 days.
35 days,
At 20 and more.
really?
But that's everything. That's sick and that's vacation,
Yeah, everything.
personal days to,
So, I mean, I agree that the lateral move with the officers, they need to have an incentive. But are you guys going to be prepared for everybody else when they come and ask?
What's going to happen?
Well, and like, Central works very closely along their lines, and they had just requested. And we all have training, we all have training that we have to do, not to his extent.
Right, that's what I'm
but-
saying. How do you differentiate?
Right.
If the assessor gets of someone that has all certifications, and I think you're going to be looking at these case by cases on a weekly basis.
I wouldn't say
Monthly for
weekly.
sure.
I wouldn't say weekly.
I think you might be surprised.
No,
Well, I think there's going to be people saying, I was thinking about leaving, but if you up my PTO, I don't know. But
Well,
I don't know if we can up currently, but like, for example, for like my office, my part-time person that went full-time, none of that was able to be counted towards his time here, so he starts over at his earning. But again, my training is not to the extent of an officer or a dispatcher. But there are instances where, at the same time, I would have had to pay to get somebody to come in and train in his spot, to have it full-time and do the work that he does, and everybody's going to be able to do that fight.
I don't know that we can make a decision on this today. I think it needs a little more thought.
okay.
But if you're down 6 deputies and the rest of the of the officers are picking up all that slack. Sooner or later, you're gonna start losing officers because they get burned out or they get a better offer from somebody else. So somehow or another, we've got to address this issue.
That's go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know, I just flashed through my brain, very rare. But anyway, what if we did a time limit on it? Or say, either a time limit or once the sheriff's office is, those jobs are all filled, then we cut it off. In other words, we need to get this department up and staffed.
Yeah.
The argument I would make about the discussion earlier about the other offices is exactly what you said, as far as we're down 6 people and have been for several years. So I understand the challenge of other offices saying, well, I'd like that too. And I think maybe that can be looked at a case-by-case basis. And maybe this is a temporary thing that we can do. You know, our office is hurting, being down those 6 people. Dispatch, for example, is fully staffed. They do have training, but again, no one else has the extent and the cost of training that the sheriff's office does. So I hate for us to suffer when we have something that could be a good incentive to put in place because of, you know, the potential of the other offices who are fully staffed.
How about if we granted all the PTO but not the increased pay?
And the reason for that pay matrix is it's because of the value of that officer that has gained that experience and knowledge over the years. Well, this officer is bringing that with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those two things go hand in hand, really.
The less you can mess with PTO is gonna be better payroll-wise, or we have to start, or you have to let us start, like, if he has somebody that's coming, we have to use a different seniority time so that the system will accrue the time correctly.
I think the proposals I made, of course I'm biased, but I think the proposals I made are clean. I mean, it's a clean, you can bring your years of service with you. That's going to get credit towards your PTO time here. You can start on the pay matrix here. I think it's clean. I don't think it's, I think it's a fair proposal.
I think a sign-on bonus would have to go through council.
Depends on if the money was already in their budget, then no, it would just be a
Right.
transfer, but if it would require some additional appropriations to fill those, then it would have to go to council.
Well, I think it would have to go to council no matter what, because I'd have to put it on the salary ordinance.
Oh, yeah, good point, yeah.
Yes, no? Wait?
I think we ought to chew on it for another week.
Okay.
Just, you know, if you do these things quickly and then something comes back and bites you,
I'd like to think
you know where, and yeah.
You could put the memo out that, you know, we're going to do something. We just got to figure out what's
Yeah, put it in
going to
memo. We're going to do something. Please accept the position.
Could you, if we did this, could you do a targeted recruiting, and I hate to say go
Poach
poach
someone.
people, but
That's what it is.
could you go do a targeted recruiting drive or
What we would do is the best advertising that we can. I won't, you know, I personally won't contact.
be. Radio and pull your mic a little.
Sorry.
When you come this way, I lose you.
That's a good question. I think what we would do is advertise it the best we can and get the word out the best that we, word of mouth is sometimes beneficial.
you know, I think if we're gonna do something like this, we need to really maximize the effect of it and try to get those spots filled as quickly as we
Sure.
can.
No, I agree.
Okay.
Might be poaching from our own cities, though, is the only problem.
I wouldn't call it poaching. I mean, it's
No,
advertising
no.
that we're accepting lateral officers to apply to our agency, and
I can.
they do the same thing. That's
I can
we all
pretty
have to
much
hire.
assure you that nobody's going to shed a tear if Auburn grabs one of our road deputies for their.
Oh, no, I no, I'm
Yeah,
just saying,
yeah.
it's, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate your time and consideration on that and continue the discussion.
I appreciate your proactive thoughts on this, and it's good, very good points and a good conversation.
Okay.
Quick
Okay.
question on the tattoo policy. Are we going to be, is the merit board involved on that? Or is that your decision? I think we're maybe losing some good candidates by someone has a tattoo on their arm, they can't be a deputy. What's your thoughts?
I have changed that policy effective January 1st. That's an internal policy at the sheriff's office.
Okay.
I have the authority to do that, and I have done that. So
Good.
that tattoo policy has changed. We also changed the facial hair policy to allow beards. As I've said all along, well, I don't have a single tattoo myself, and I also shave on a daily basis. That's what I prefer. But people out there do value that, and we have to compete against these other agencies, just as we're talking about today.
Yeah.
In order to compete with them, that requires us to be open-minded and change with the times. So every other agency in the county allows the tattoos and facial hair, and in order to compete with them, we have to look at what the officers
Good.
value. So I did change that.
Good.
So that will help tremendously, I think, especially within our jail with the confinement officers. That was also a policy within the jail that was really hampering our efforts to recruit people. So hopefully that'll help us out a lot. I think it will.
Is
So
there any
still-
restrictions on the beard?
There are restrictions on it. It has to be neatly trimmed and groomed and a professional appearance to it.
No ZZ Top,
Lengthwise.
huh?
No.
Any lengthwise,
No specific length. It's just determined by the supervisors and the sheriff as far as what's going to be a professional appearance.
I like it.
because I had a thought, a long beard could be a safety issue.
Oh, sure.
I mean, that's something to grab a hold of.
That's true. Grab by the head, you're going where the head goes, right?
Yeah, so, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I'm all for,
Appreciate you
I'm
taking
all
care
for
of
beards.
that. Good that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
You
All
bet.
right. See you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Come back and see us again.
Well.
Take care of that sheriff office.
Okay, we're chugging along here. We're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Rookie sheriff mistake. Okay, Chris, you are up.
Morning, Chris.
How are you?
Good.
We are here to discuss the overlay, solar overlay.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to follow up from the meeting that you had on the 28th that I was here for, and talk about the discussions related to the overlay itself. I don't want to get into the other aspects of, do we want solar, do we not want solar, is it made in China, is it not made in China, the tax abatement stuff that we just don't, I have zero control over. It's more or less debunking the falsities that were said about the ordinance itself, that it's not rolling out a red carpet to solar companies. It's not, I listened to the 2.5-hour meeting again and made 2.5 pages worth of comments of what people said, and just that they were saying it fast tracks solar into DeKalb County for any zone, and it just merely doesn't. There's currently no caps on land. Why does solar get a pass? Why is there not a steel mill overlay? There were just a lot of things that I believe just need to be discussed with you guys, so you understand that the overlay district is an additional level of protection for solar itself. I think the decision has been made already that DeKalb County is open to having commercial solar in the county. The overlay district defined that back in September of 2021 September of 2021 when the overlay district was established. Do I believe there's some things that can change in it? Sure. There's things that have been proposed that I believe would make the ordinance better, regulate it a little bit more. But again, those changes have to be brought before the Plan Commission before anything can happen. there's been thoughts, and I've talked to Commissioner Sanderson about this already, but thoughts about getting rid of the overlay itself and going straight to a rezone, rezone with a development plan. The rezone would offer far less protections for any property owner, for participating or non-participating. We currently allow above-ground utility facility, which is what this would theoretically be part of. In our institutional, our I-1, I-2, and I-3 industrial districts, those are kind of our lowest density to highest density industrial districts. And our institutional is kind of our churches, schools, utilities, government buildings type of zoning district. The setbacks range from for front yard 40 feet to 50 feet, side yard 15 to 40 feet, and rear yard 20 feet to 40 feet. And that's from the property line. And then for our landscaping requirements, it's far less than what we are requiring in the overlay. For our I-1, I-2, I-3, it's a 30-foot wide with 3 evergreens per 10 feet and 4 shrubs per 5 feet. So it's just, and there's no dimension on what those heights need to be, or really anything as far as what they should be. Meaning, is it a seedling from the Department of Natural Resources when they give out free seedling day? Or is it a shrub that you get at Meijer or Home Depot? Berms make up for 60% of the conflicting use. And in our ordinance, it does say, and I've never had to use this before, so I'm quoting it. It says, "You must make reasonable attempt to screen the most obnoxious, noise-producing, unsightly, tallest, most intrusive, or most visual parts of buildings on the property should be made. And you have to have an irrigation system." So if we would do this, it would drastically reduce the type of buffer requirements. And then they would have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals because odds are they're probably not going to irrigate these landscape buffers. Just other questions to ask is, would we want to see the other permitted uses that are in those zoning districts as part of these districts? As you guys know, and we've looked at the corridor, the industrial corridor down from Butler to SDI, that's about 3 miles worth of industrial corridor, but SDI is approximately 520 acres and Nucor is approximately 290 acres. So do you want to see all of those uses on potentially up to, as what I've heard, is 12,000 acres worth of property? So I did receive some information from the solar groups that I forwarded on to you guys. I think some of those are very good modifications that could be made. But again, it's something that has to come before the Plan Commission. The overlay district is not, I will just briefly go over that. They do have to, as you guys know, have come before the Plan Commission and the county commissioners for them to be part of the overlay district. The county is not flat out allowing solar on every part of unincorporated DeKalb County, and is not allowing anyone to bring a development plan forward. It has to be a commercial solar energy system. Go ahead.
Before I forget, a quick question.
Yep.
On this overlay, is that be determined by the project or by the parcel of land it's going to sit on? In other words, if there's an 80-acre parcel out here and it's just signed up, but it's part of the whole project, does each parcel have to go through that overlay process?
So the project as a whole would go over the overlay process. So not each individual piece of land would go through. It would be the whole leased land is considered the project area. Now, for one of these projects, as everybody probably knows by now, they're looking at about 1,200 acres. About 630 or 40 of that is going to be solar panels. But that whole 1,200 acres would be part of the overlay district.
Right.
So anyway, I think the overlay district serves its purpose. I made some notes as far as how we deal with wind. Wind is done through a special exception by the Board of Zoning Appeals, which is a body that really, the legislative body, as I've said before, I believe that these type of large-scale projects should be something that the legislative body should have some control over, as far as where they're zoned and how they are approved. With wind, it's a special exception through the Board of Zoning Appeals. It would not come through this body at all. And then solar, as we've discussed, has the Plan Commission, then ultimately the county commissioners deem appropriate where it's going to go other than open space. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of talk about that and see if you guys had any questions as far as what the overlay district does. Any other questions? That meeting really was an aha moment for me, as quoting Oprah, to say that I just really don't think the public understands how the overlay district works and how it's not a blanket welcome for all solar for all of DeKalb County from all four corners.
Yeah. And that a number of the protections are already in the ordinance.
Correct. So,
like recycling is in the ordinance already, and
right, there are things that are in the ordinance, and some things just aren't going to be part of the ordinance. A road use agreement is an agreement between the highway department and the county commissioners. We require it, but the plan commission is not the experts on roads.
Well, a fire plan is not part of an ordinance either. You can't have a fire plan until you have a development plan approved.
Correct. Correct.
Because you don't know what you're dealing with.
Right.
So,
right. And same with the decommissioning plan. The decommissioning plan lays out some things in there, but the decommissioning plan is also an agreement between the county commissioners and the plan commission and the solar companies. Right. So those items are going to be decided during that decommissioning plan of if the county is going to be required to decommission it, or if they need to, or if the solar company needs to decommission it. It has to be abided by the same rules for both entities. And with the current one, Andrew and I and Sarah at that time looked at the decommissioning plan. The project that is currently being looked at, and I can say this because it's been changed, I think, that they were taking the gross decommissioning, subtracting out the revenue of the recycling, and giving us the net as the decommissioning cost. Well, that wasn't going to work.
They might get a couple $100,000 or something.
Right.
As income from the recycling.
Yeah, and that just wasn't going to work for us because we don't know.
We don't know what that's going to look like.
What that's going to look like. We wanted the full cost of decommissioning for the entire project if it had to go.
Which is what the UDO or
which is what the
overlay
UDO
district
says.
So, yep.
Maybe trying to pull a fast one, but we caught that. But so things like that things are going to happen. Things are going to be negotiated and looked at per the individual parts of that development plan that we have control over.
And some of those things are also addressed in the economic development agreements as far as responsibilities and performance issues.
Right.
On both sides. And that's a contract that's negotiated primarily by Baker Tilly and Rick Hall from Barnes Thornburg, who work for the county, so they're going to,
through an agreement through the county with those solar companies. Right. Right.
Exactly. So, as you said, some things just don't belong in an ordinance. They're handled in other ways, but they are handled very, the effect is the same, specifically, just as, the effect is the same as if it was in an ordinance.
Right.
It's enforceable, I guess.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And anything that would potentially get missed, let's say something theoretically got missed. I don't even want to name it because I don't even know what it could be. But it's brought up at the Plan Commission meeting. The Plan Commission could make a condition of approval. If there's something that we've not thought about that then we think of at the Plan Commission meeting, if it's appropriate for it to be part of a condition of approval, then the Plan Commission could make it a condition of approval that you have to do X to get your certificate of occupancy. And if they don't meet that, the county has leverage to make them do what they have agreed to do at the Plan Commission meeting. So.
I agree.
With the comments?
Well,
One of the things I learned after talking to Chris, and we still, as commissioners, hold the final decision whether or not any project or rezoning, for that matter, whether it be a solar overlay approval to add a property into the solar overlay, it's still our decision. And if it's not the best use of the land, we can still say no to the project, just so everyone knows that we do have the power to say no, even though there's an overlay.
yeah, and I thought everybody knew that.
No,
And
I
that
didn't.
was,
I didn't even
obviously-
realize that.
Obviously, that was
I didn't even realize
an
that.
assumption on my part that wasn't correct.
No, I learned that a while ago, but I'm still saying I was still not properly versed on that. So again, it is up to the commissioners to protect this county how we see fit, and we do have the final say regardless of the ordinance.
Right.
So like you said, it's not a blanket, just, hey,
No, not at
it's a
all.
rubber stamp
Not at
approved.
all.
We have to say yes or no.
Well, and we have to look at the entire picture, you know, pros, cons, benefits, and so forth, and make the decisions based on that. You know, and I was a little concerned from that meeting of, you know, that you know, I don't know if accusation is the right word, but the statements were made about, you know, we're negligent, we don't care about the constituents, we don't care about the county, we don't, you know, if we don't stop this thing or do this or that or the other, we're somehow, you know, we're uninformed and everybody else has got the right answer. And, you know, I've been an elected official for a long time. That bothered me considerably. There are 120 projects, solar projects in Indiana right now in various stages, under construction to going online. And I'm hard pressed to believe that all of the elected officials involved in those 120 projects are negligent and don't care about their constituents and don't care about their counties and don't know what they're talking about, and somehow everybody here has the answer. You know, I just don't think that's the case. And I will say again, and I don't know that you can overemphasize the importance of this particular thing. The state of Indiana is pro-alternative energy. I mean, period. That's all. And we were very close to 2 years ago to House Bill 1381 passing, which would have taken the local control out of our hands.
Yeah.
The state would have decided what the siting and the zoning and where solar could be, or not just solar, but solar and wind and everything else. That really, I mean, we fought it from a home rule standpoint, and our representatives voted against it, but it passed the House, would have passed the Senate, but for basically a technicality, it had enough votes to pass the Senate.
On that specific issue, and this will be a question for our new attorney. We claimed home rule, like Mike said, you know, on fighting 1381. If we develop an ordinance, but the state later says, no, we have jurisdiction, we say the setbacks will be this, this, and this, can they still come back with a bill that would supersede ours?
Let me address that.
Okay.
Because that 2 years ago, part of what the negotiation between the House and the Senate to reconcile the bill was they grandfathered in all the existing ordinances. That won't happen this time, because 2 years ago, there were just a handful of ordinances. Now, almost all the counties in Indiana have ordinances.
Have an
They're not gonna grandfather them in. The state's gonna say your ordinance is any part of your ordinance that is more restrictive than the state is no longer valid.
Right.
Do they have the ability to do that?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, we
No,
do.
do they have the ability to say, hey, your ordinance is null and void, here's the state?
Yes, and here's an example, was our outdoor advertising signs.
Yeah.
The billboards.
Yeah.
The state required, more or less, because their ordinance was less restrictive than ours, that our ordinance would not be valid. So we could require someone to take down their sign if a grove of trees grew too tall and it didn't, and it was already at the maximum height. We couldn't allow them to build that billboard any taller. Now, if a tree grows in front of their billboard, we have to allow them to take that billboard taller if they don't want to remove the tree. Like, so the state is telling us that we have to allow billboards to be
So
taller.
what
So
I'm-
just a small example of how the state can require us
So just
to
so
change
I-
our ordinance.
So just so I understand this correctly, we have an ordinance that says 400-foot setback from any residence. Can the state come in and say, we know you say that, but we're saying, no, it's 200? Can
I
they do
believe
that?
they can.
Yeah.
I haven't
my
legally
point
researched this
is-
issue, but I believe they can. The
My
state
point
can
is-
control that.
Okay, so if we do have a ordinance, it doesn't really matter because they could just come up with their own. But like Mike said, they're probably not gonna do it because of the kickback of everyone having ordinance. But what I'm saying is they still can. They still have the
Yeah, I
ability
think
to-
the state can still control and come down and make any law they want to about your ordinances. I think
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
Well, like they did, I think they did also on where you can place miniature cell phone towers. I think that
Yeah.
was something that came up
Yeah,
too,
that
because
was
cities
another
and
one.
towns and counties were gonna say, hey, we don't want these all over the place.
But for 5G to work, it has to be.
It has to be that way, so they crammed it down on all the local entities.
Okay.
I would say, and I can only assume, if the state did come back with their ordinance, that they would consider the whole of the county ordinance, since there are so many in place. In other words, that would have some leverage, influence on how they would word their ordinance. Surely they wouldn't. I mean, if the county average is 500 feet, I would think the state would look at that and say, well, maybe that's where we ought to be. Not saying that's what would
Well-
happen, but I would think the local ordinance would have some influence on what the state would write.
I don't know.
I guess it depends on who's writing the ordinance
Yeah.
in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah,
right, but
yeah.
everybody's got to vote on it, so, and
Legislation.
everybody's got to
Yeah.
answer back to their local
Well,
community.
And
if,
go ahead.
if it happens, and there are a lot of the legislators that were part of 1381, that sponsored 1381, are still there. And if that bill gets reconstituted and reintroduced, there's still going to be a lot of pushback from all the counties. I mean, AIC and IACC and Mayor's and Commissioners Caucus, we're all going to, squawk pretty loudly. But my point is that all came very close 2 years ago. And as I said at the meeting the other night, this discussion doesn't take place in a vacuum or a bubble. Indianapolis pays attention to this kind of conversation, and they use these big arguments and big swings in opinion as justification to do just those kind of things.
Shift gears just a minute, if you don't mind. This 15,000 acre project coming to Indiana, I haven't researched it yet. I supposedly there's a project that's 15,000 acres around Elkhart, is that correct? That's going in? It's going to be the largest in the country?
I've not heard of it.
I haven't either.
I've caught something about that in
I'll
the
go
news.
Google it, though.
The only reason I ask is I'd like to know what their ordinance is. And, that's going to be the biggest in the country supposedly for commercial solar, the 15,000 acres in Indiana. You didn't hear about this one?
I heard something. Did we not have a copy of the Elkhart ordinance?
I thought it was Elkhart area, but am I wrong? Okay. Mammoth Solar. Yeah, good name for it.
No, Pulaski County.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'd like to know what their ordinance is and how that shaped up.
If
And
it's Elkhart County, I can get,
he said Pulaski.
Pulaski.
Oh, Pulaski, okay.
I can get a copy.
I'm just curious to see how that's, because that's a big one. I mean, I'd like to know more about that, how that, might even want to talk to their commissioners on what they think
Purdue
of that.
Extension also has cheat sheets, if for lack of a better term, cliff notes,
Okay, cliff notes.
on,
Crib sheets.
and I can email that to you on all the counties and
Okay.
municipalities that
Would you?
have, yeah,
I appreciate that.
that have
Thank you.
solar and wind. Purdue Extension's done a great job at even confined feed operations, combining that all into one document, so we're not calling every county and saying, what's your ordinance, what's
Yeah,
your ordinance, what's your
exactly.
ordinance?
No,
So,
no,
yeah,
that's
it's
good.
nice. Yeah, I'll get you that.
Thank you, sir.
Couple of thoughts.
Yeah.
I think we need to revisit the recycling language in the ordinance. It doesn't really specify, it leaves an open-end kind of a deal, the way it's worded, that they really don't have to recycle if it's not cost-effective in their eyes. But what's cost-effective and what's the alternative is to put them in the landfills. And I don't think that's a good alternative at all. So I think we need to address the recycling, and I think we need to address the setbacks.
What about it, total acreage?
Total acreage is the third thing that I think you need to revisit. Whether it's in the overlay or just spelled out in plain language in the ordinance, it needs to be addressed.
I was looking at it looks like it's Stark and Pulaski counties, they said 13,000 acres straddling both counties.
Oh, so
So
both
it's a
counties.
two-county deal, and they said that the panels will cover only 2,500 acres out of that 13 or 15,000, which seems awfully low to me
That
versus the
seems-
acreage to
How can they-
panel deal.
And that brings up the question, how can they possibly afford that?
You mean,
Utilizing that few acres out of that many.
I don't know.
Because they're going to pay rent on all of it.
They said 2.85 million panels.
That's only 20% of the land.
Yeah, that's not,
Wow.
That
That's why
seems strange.
I'd like to see their ordinances to see if.
But it's for the two
ordinance.
counties together, Stark and Pulaski.
right.
Okay.
That's interesting.
I'm going to clarify.
2,500, sorry,
Keep going.
2,500 acres is not much. If you're leasing
Yeah, it seems low.
13,000, that's
That's,
20%.
Well, it's accounting for forest, wetlands, setbacks, et cetera.
Okay.
Cut it down to 2,500.
Wow.
They might have too, if there's a lot of regulated drains that the county surveyors don't allow you to go within. I mean, I know you guys have on the Auburn, the Auburn one.
Both of
You
them.
went to 40, but typically it's 70. So there's a lot of land that's not used that gets leased because
Part of the
Both
lease.
of,
part of the
both of
lease.
the projects that are being considered here are only about 50% of the panels are only take up about 50% of the leased land.
and actually, that county regulated drain is 80 feet. It's 40 on each side.
for the one here, yeah,
Yeah. And that was revised down from 75 on each side.
75 on each side, right, right.
Oh, for
variance.
Auburn renewables?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one, because that
Drainage
runs right
board
through the
given
middle
the
of it.
variance.
Right,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be 80 feet. Is the least we do on the drainage board.
40 per side, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to clarify something real quick.
That's our minimum. It's actually
I want to
75.
revisit the recycling language in the ordinance setbacks, and what was the third thing?
Total.
Total acreage allowed.
Acreage.
Since we're on drainage, I had a constituent contact me the other day about private tile drains that run from one property over into another property. You cannot restrict those drains. What happens if a drain is damaged in a solar field? Either a pipe or a post goes through it, or it needs maintenance, tile breaks down for various reasons. Who's going to fix it? Who's going to enforce that that gets fixed so the water doesn't back up on the neighbor and flood his low ground?
I would think the lessee would have to make sure that that stays intact.
Yeah, but who's going to enforce it? Who's going to make them do it?
Barney Fife.
Who's
Doesn't
gonna-
drainage
who's
board,
gonna-
I think, has to do some of that, don't they?
Can I answer? We have in our ordinance that any damage to waterways, public/regulated drains or ditches, private or mutual drains, county tiles or other item made to regulate drainage caused by construction, installation, maintenance, and/or decommissioning and restoration of a CSCS must be completely repaired by the CSCS operator to the near original condition so as to not impede the natural flow of water. All repairs must be compliant and approved by the DeKalb County Drainage Board. So the answer as to who enforces that is the Plan Commission and County Commissioners and County Surveyor. So there's a three-county body that could sue these solar companies if they decide to not do it.
Okay,
Same thing with streets and roads and all that. That's a separate thing, but with the County Highway Department.
I just want clarified. Thank you. Anything else?
No, I didn't have anything else.
At this point, then, I will open it up to public comment. 6 minutes each. Come up to the podium and,
I thought we were doing that next week.
Yeah, that was the,
This was the
that was
off
the
week.
17th. We weren't going to
That was
do
the
any
17th.
discussion today.
okay,
Yeah, I
Now-
think that was gonna be next week.
We decided no discussion today. On Tuesday, we're going to have that, what you said, 6 minutes each.
When we added the 17th.
yeah, you're right, you're right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
not sorry.
Morning.
All right. Okay,
I need one set of minutes without your name in it.
somebody's going to think you're one of the officials. Okay,
Thanks, Chris.
any other business?
Well, I would say that I am in total agreement with addressing those issues that that you mentioned and have attempted to
Chris?
begin that process.
Yeah, in your email, you had mentioned some collaboration between the commissioners and members of the Plan Commission to meet.
So, there were some suggestions. Andrew sent me some suggestions that I forwarded on. Sorry, I wasn't on mic. Andrew had sent me some suggestions that I forwarded on to you guys and highlighted what I believed would be positive changes to the UDO. Mike had sent all of us an email with some proposed revisions that he wants to potentially bring forward that I think need to be discussed with some Plan Commission members. Really kind of how we organically started this ordinance was meeting with each of you individually, meeting with members of the Plan Commission individually, or in small groups, so as to not make it a public meeting, but make sure that we're all in relative agreement as to what the proposed changes should be, so that we're not at a public meeting
Beating each other up.
duking it out between what we believe the changes should be. I think that the proposed changes that Mike has proposed and the stuff that Andrew gave me, about 50% of it, are positive changes. And I think that it's things that the Plan Commission would see as giving favorable recommendations to,
Well, and
without going into too much detail.
I don't know if you got the latest email, but I took some of Andrew's suggestions and worked those into my proposals, because I thought they were good ideas too.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's where we're at now.
So if you want me to try to facilitate that, I would be glad to. I don't think that, well, you can't, all three of you can't come to a Plan Commission meeting, but if we do either a subcommittee or just have small groups with one of you at each, I would be fine with that. But I can facilitate getting that set up.
What do you think, gentlemen? I think it's a good idea.
I can try to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Did you guys, okay. I'll send you an email.
Okay. let's do that.
And I'll, in the meantime, I'll see if I can clean up a little,
Did you guys
tighten
discuss?
up on that recycling language a little bit and add that to the
Okay.
red line version.
And that's in that recycling is in the decommissioning section.
It is.
So it is briefly stated by a sentence, but if there's additional things you want to see, I mean, I don't know what other municipalities have done as far as if they're requiring a certain percentage of it to be recycled or how you prove recycling. I'll have to look at the decommissioning plan too to see, but, yeah.
Will we have to do another public hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
So you'd have to do it as a plan commission public hearing with the proposed changes, and then they would give a recommendation to the county commissioners.
Then,
Be the
Yeah.
same way we did those last three amendments when we did the ordinance.
Yeah. If you are thinking you would want to take this potentially in February, I'll try to get meetings set up quickly. February, we would need a 10-day notice in the newspapers, the only notification that's required by Indiana code. But it does get put on the website and stuff,
yeah,
so.
anytime,
Okay.
yeah, I'd be ready.
Well, I'd like to get this squared up sooner than later, and I'm assuming Susan would too, because she's sick of seeing Andrew's name in the, on the agenda. So, no, I appreciate it.
Okay,
I'll get that worked on. All right.
okay. Okay. Anything else? Anybody have anything? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Oh, I just wanted to clarify, there's a meeting on the 17th
Yes,
is it at 8:30 again?
yes.
Tuesday, the 7th.
That's a
Tuesday,
Tuesday,
8:30.
because we're
Okay.
not going to have a Monday meeting, so we're going to substitute.
Was that on the original calendar? Because, okay.
like
I just want to make sure it's on my calendar,
We
so.
I just got it done.
We didn't tell you about the other
Friday.
40 meetings we're gonna have. that we
Hey, no,
didn't-
hey, comes with the job, right?
You
So,
get overtime though, because it's a Tuesday.
oh, boy. No, I know that's not part of the deal.
Yeah,
Another thing, just one more,
50% of zero is still zero.
That's right, that's right.
just one more thing I want to throw out, and that is maybe some evening meetings going forward. Maybe one every quarter or something like that. Everybody be,
Talking about moving the normal morning meeting to an evening.
yeah, a Monday evening.
I don't have a problem with that as long as it's far enough in advance.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, as long as we're,
Yeah, we plan for, yeah, it's not going to be last minute.
I don't have any problem with that.
okay.
Okay,
I like to sleep in.
we'll count the last, December 28th as the first one for the first quarter, and the second quarter, then we'll look at,
Yeah,
Well,
fine.
I think it's a good exercise, and if people don't show up, then we can go back to days, and if they do,
Right.
and there's an interest, then that's fine,
let's try it.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
we are adjourned.
Does that work for your schedule,
see, we
Andrew? I
just-
mean, if we
It
just-
should, I think my Waterloo is Tuesday, solid waste is Thursday, so a Monday evening isn't going to bother me. What about BZA and Plancom are both?
Mondays and Wednesdays.
So the only thing could be a plan commission, then might be a conflict, but, so we just schedule it not on plan commission night, which is here anyway. So.
Yeah. That's once a month, so, yeah, we can work around that. That's what we'll do.
I'll move my stuff around.